The air conditioning in the Bentley was cranked way up. Fujon handed me a file. He wanted me to act as bait, to seduce the man in the dossier, the childhood sweetheart of his own beloved. 1. You don't need me to tell you how to do this, do you? Fujon glanced at me, his tone light. When it comes to seducing men, you're quite the expert. I opened the folder. The file contained a photo of a young man with a crew cut. His eyes were deep set, and he gazed at the camera with a casual, inscrutable roguishness. Lin Kai, male, 23 years old, a street punk. Fujon rolled down the car window and lit a cigarette. The scent of tobacco drifted in on the evening breeze. Remember to dress innocently. He twirled a strand of my hair around his finger and smiled. The intel says he doesn't like the way you look right now. Honestly, I detest Fujon's sarcastic tone, but I really do need his money. 3 million. It's enough to save a life. I closed the file and smiled. Deal. 2. I tilted my head, looking at the woman in the mirror, and she felt like a stranger. A plain white dress, hair dyed black, straightened, and tied into a ponytail, not even a trace of foundation on her face. Is that really me? In the mirror, the girl with the innocent, schoolgirl look expertly lit a cigarette. LOL, I can't believe that's actually me. In the public eye, I've always been known as the most notorious social butterfly in the industry. All I see is money. I don't know if it was a blessing or a curse, but I was born with striking good looks. Because of that, my foster father sold me to a brothel when I was 16, where I had to trade on my beauty. I was in the bloom of youth. Girls my age were in their school uniforms, reciting English vocabulary in the classroom, like flower buds waiting to bloom. As for me, I was plucked from the branch long ago, rotten to the core. 3 years ago, I became attached to Fujon. He was the sole heir of the Fu family, lavishly generous, and the women around him changed more often than his clothes. I'm the only girlfriend he's ever publicly acknowledged. Girlfriend, they say, more like a favored mistress. Really, I spent 3 years as a stand-in, all because my eyes resemble those of his true love. A week ago, when he returned to the country, I knew Fujon would end things with me, but I never imagined he'd do it by handing me off to another man. 3. The bar. Amidst the neon lights and bustling revelry, I timidly surveyed my surroundings. Hey sweetheart, drinking alone. A heavy cloud of tobacco smoke mixed with the stench of alcohol hit me, making me feel queasy. A strange middle-aged man sat down right next to me. After barely exchanging a few words, his hand went straight for my waist. Smack. The sound of the slap was drowned out by the music. My hands trembling, I turned and tried to run, but he caught me anyway. He kicked me to the ground. But the punch I was expecting never landed. When I opened my eyes, I saw Lin Kai grab a bottle and smash it over the other guy's head. Glass shards flew everywhere as Lin Kai cursed, hitting a woman. That's all you're good for, you piece of shit, get lost. The man cursed as he got up, ready to fight back when someone nearby held him back. You got a death wish. That's Lin Kai. He runs this whole bar. Let's get out of here. Lin Kai pulled me to my feet. The music nearly drowned out his voice as he asked, looking for someone. I nodded. Who? I hesitated for a moment. My boyfriend. Lin Kai flicked the ash from his cigarette, followed me as I circled the bar twice, and finally stopped in front of a booth. A young man was holding a strange girl, locked in a passionate kiss. Lin Kai put out his cigarette and asked me, "This one?" I didn't speak, just bit my lip hard. My fingers twisted the hem of my clothes, tightening and then loosening their grip, until the boy looked up. Yao Yao. He shoved the girl in his arms aside and ran towards me. Let me explain. Don't bother. I took a step back, bit my lip, and then reached out to take Lin Kai's hand. I came here to break up with you. You don't actually think I'd be into a spineless pretty boy like you, do you? Let me introduce you. This is my new boyfriend. With that, I wrapped my arms around Lin Kai's neck and planted a stiff, awkward kiss on his lips. Our breaths mingled. A faint, mingled scent of smoke drifted through the air. Even the guy I'd hired to play my fake boyfriend for the night was staring, transfixed, in my peripheral vision. 5. Lin Kai led me back to the private room. I covered my face, tears streaming ceaselessly through my fingers. The person seemed at a loss for what to do. After crouching in front of me for a long moment, they finally managed to force out a single sentence. Please, don't cry. I looked up at him, but he was my first love. I blinked, and the tears I'd been holding back came spilling down. Lin Kai grabbed a tissue and pressed it to my face. What are you crying for? That guy isn't worth it. He had no sense of gentleness. Even wiping away tears felt rough and painful. I sniffled, snatched the cigarette from Lin Kai's hand, and clumsily took a drag. Cough. The tears I'd just held back came welling up again with the cough. What's a young lady like you doing learning to smoke? Lin Kai glanced at me, snatched the cigarette back, and took a casual drag. I grabbed the hem of his shirt. So, would you have a drink with me? Seeing I was on the verge of tears again, Lin Kai agreed. That night, I drank 8 bottles of beer in total. I was laughing and crying, and then I threw up all over Lin Kai. He held me up, cursing under his breath, but didn't push me away an inch. Lin Kai took me back to his place. He really thought he'd picked up some heartbroken, naive little girl, but in reality, for someone like me, raised among men, acting is just a basic skill. 6, I figured, as the leader of a gang with dozens of guys under him, he'd at least live somewhere decent, but he was still living in an urban village. The alley was old and worn, stalls of street vendors lined the path, flyers were plastered everywhere, and the whole lane was buzzing with life. Up the stairs, he threw me onto the bed. The hard mattress was cold and unforgiving. I shifted a couple of times, trying to find a comfortable position, and in the process, the neckline of my dress slipped down. A few seconds passed. His hand brushed against my bare shoulder. It was searing hot. I thought he was going to take advantage and pull down my skirt. But the next moment, he grabbed me by the collar and yanked me up. He pulled the covers over me and left. He was gone. 7. Lin Kai's bedding was spread out on the floor. The guy was completely unyielding, so I had to pretend I'd just woken up. In a groggy daze, I climbed out of bed and slipped under his covers. The light summer quilt settled over us. I could smell the tobacco on him. The next second, Lin Kai pulled me out from under the covers again. Go back to your own bed. No. I held his hand and leaned in to kiss him. I broke up with him. No one wants me anymore, I murmured, my lips brushing against his in a pitiful tone. Won't you keep me? I'll be good. I don't eat much. I won't be expensive to keep. I feigned a drunken slur, murmuring softly, and this time, he didn't pull away. Watching me with his eyes open the entire time, I could see the reflection of a girl's form in his pupils, wearing a white dress, her hair pulled up in a high ponytail, youthful and lovely. I kissed him nervously and clumsily, my trembling hands fumbling to remove his clothes. Lin Kai's breathing grew heavier. Ju Yao, he pressed down on my hand. You're drunk. Do you know what you're doing? I know. I slipped my hand into his palm. Lin Kai's hand was large enough to envelop mine completely. My fingers slid between his, locking them together. I leaned in again. I fumbled against his lips, grazing and biting, all clumsy and unsure. Lin Kai finally couldn't take it anymore. He cursed under his breath, his palm pressing against the back of my head, deepening the kiss. On the cramped, hard bed, Lin Kai pulled me tightly into his embrace, his scorching palm pressed against my waist, smoothing away my tremors inch by inch, and I, curled against his chest, whimpered softly in pain. Good girl. He kissed my earlobe. Relax. 8. Late at night, Lin Kai was already asleep. I suddenly felt something trickling from my nose, wiping it with the back of my hand, in the dim light. That smear of dark red was starkly visible. One drop, then another. I grabbed a tissue and pressed it to my nose, then gently slid his arm off of me. In the bathroom, I locked the door, rolled a piece of tissue into a small wad and stuffed it into my nose, then pulled the hair tie from my ponytail and lit a cigarette. I studied my reflection in the mirror. My face was a sickly pale, and above my protruding collarbones, a sign of being too thin, were faint, telltale love bites. Everywhere bore Lin Kai's mark. The record said he never went near women, but in reality, once he started, the man was wilder than a beast. It was downright lethal. My arms and legs felt like they were about to fall apart from his rough handling. Ju Yao, Lin Kai's voice suddenly called from outside the bathroom. I froze for a second, hurriedly stubbing out my cigarette. What is it? I quickly opened the window to air the room out, flushed the butt down the toilet, and hid the lighter. Leaning against the door, Lin Kai asked, feeling unwell, waving a hand to disperse the smell of smoke. I answered softly, my stomach's a bit upset. My fault. Lin Kai's voice, slightly hoarse, came through the crack in the door. I was at it for too long. I didn't cover you with the blanket. I didn't say a word. I just sat on the toilet, watching the man's silhouette refracted in the glass door, broad shoulders, narrow waist, the classic inverted triangle. I waited until the smell of smoke had mostly cleared before stepping out. Lin Kai was leaning quietly against the wall, waiting. He gently touched a strand of my loose hair. It looks nice like this, too. It was only a few steps from the bathroom to the bedroom, yet he still grabbed a coat to drape over my shoulders. It was only when I got back that I realized the sheets had already been changed. The old sheets were piled at the foot of the bed. He picked them up and said, "I'll go wash these." I looked over, stunned. I saw two strikingly vivid crimson stains on the sheets. He must have gotten the wrong idea. I could tell he was a complete novice, awkward and reckless from start to finish. The gentle sound of running water and the rustle of fabric came from the bathroom. I shuffled over in my slippers and leaned against the doorframe to watch. The man wore only a pair of loose shorts, revealing his suntanned skin. He was squatting with his long legs apart, scrubbing away. An unlit cigarette dangling from his lips. In the old bathroom, the scene was unexpectedly cozy. I was lost in thought until he finished washing his hands and came over. With a mischievous glint, he pressed his cold palm against my waist, making me flinch and burrow into his embrace. Lin Kai wiped his hands dry on his pant legs before scooping me into his arms, cradling me against his chest. His expression was unbelievably earnest, as if making a solemn vow. "I'll take responsibility, okay?" I buried my face in his chest. My tone was shy, yet my face showed no expression. Lin Kai carried me back to the hard bed. His palm brushed past my hair, my cheek, and finally tugged down the strap. The old electric fan creaked as it spun, yet the temperature in the room kept climbing with his every move. He turned off the light, a tender recklessness, worn out from all the commotion. Lin Kai quickly fell asleep. Once I was sure he was sound asleep, I slowly took out my phone. There was an unread message on the screen. "Contact, Fu Zhon." I dimmed the screen and tapped to open it. A wave of humiliation washed over me for what felt like the 100th time. "Be back within an hour. Take care of my needs. 9. His casual tone made me feel like a toy he could discard and pick up again on a whim. And in truth, that's exactly what I was. I remained frozen for a long moment. Slowly, I got dressed and climbed out of bed. I left the rented room behind, at the curb. I hailed a taxi and uttered wearily, "Zhenjing Bushu." The driver glanced at me in the rearview mirror, his tone laced with unmistakable mockery. "Off to see your boyfriend." He deliberately emphasized those last 3 words. "This neighborhood is notoriously expensive. Many wealthy men have set up their mistresses here, which is why it's commonly referred to as the mistress complex." I stared out the window and ignored him. My thoughts drifted with the gentle rocking of the car. What happens in bed is nothing new to me, but Lin Kai's rough yet restrained energy left me feeling strangely unsettled. Unsettled about what? I don't know. I was so agitated that I rolled down the window and lit another cigarette. Someone like me has no right to get my heart involved. A couple more nights' sleep should sort me out. The car came to a stop. I fished a 100 yuan note from my bag and shoved it at the driver. "Keep the change," as he took the money. He brazenly brushed his hand against mine twice. In the past, I wouldn't have given a second thought to such a minor, barely there advance. But this time, the clammy touch left me with an inexplicable wave of disgust. I grabbed my clutch bag and swung it at the driver's head. Clutching his head, the driver cursed, "Fuck. You're just some girl taking a cab in the middle of the night to go sleep with someone. What's the big deal if I cop a feel? Who are you trying to fool?" Acting all chaste and virtuous, after hurling those insults, he slammed on the gas and sped off in a cloud of dust. A gentle evening breeze swept by, carrying with it the faint sound of a driver's curse. "Bitch." I've heard that word countless times, but tonight, it cut through the air with a particular sharpness. I stubbed out my cigarette. I sent the photo of the license plate to the complaint platform, then resigned myself and turned to go inside. 10. I had only entered the first 3 digits of the door code when the door was suddenly yanked open. The heavy smell of alcohol hit me. The door slammed shut. In the sudden darkness, I couldn't see a thing. I felt a weight on my chest, and then my clothes were torn open. There was no preamble. He went straight for my leggings, intent on sating his base. Filthy desires. I instinctively dodged to the side, and Fu Zhon's grasp met empty air, dodging me. In the darkness, he pinned my shoulder down hard. "I let you play the innocent for a few days, and you're really going to play the chaste maiden now?" his fingers tangled in my hair, forcing my head down roughly. I should have been used to this by now, yet tonight, for some inexplicable reason, the self-respect that had been suppressed for years began to stir in rebellion. I pushed his hand away. Fu Zhon's breathing grew heavier. He was genuinely furious. In the darkness, I saw him lean in close, his voice a slow, menacing drawl. Tell me, what's the best way for a paralyzed old woman who can't care for herself to end her days? Let her starve to death, or be strangled by a drunkard, Fu Zhon. I reached for his hand, about to speak, when the lights suddenly flicked on. The sudden glare was blinding. The full-length mirror reflected my utter disarray. He pressed me in front of the mirror. Look, this is the real you, Ju Yao. Between us, there is never any room for you to refuse. I kept my eyes tightly shut, yet I almost felt like laughing. Fair enough, after just 2 days of playing the part, I'd actually started to believe I was that girl who could cry and whimper in pain. Just as Fu Zhon was about to take me, his phone suddenly rang. As the screen lit up, I could faintly make out the caller's name. When Fu Zhon's anger vanished almost instantly, I stood to the side. Motionless, but inwardly, I felt a wave of relief. He composed himself and quickly answered the call. What is it? Okay, I'll be right there. 11. Fu Zhon let me go. My clothes were ruined, so I went upstairs to my room and changed into another set. By the time I left, it was nearly 3 in the morning. I took a cab back to that urban village again. This time, the driver was a middle-aged woman. She chattered non-stop the whole way, telling me all about her good-for-nothing husband and the son who was a constant source of worry. I listened quietly. Just before getting out, I said to her with genuine feeling, "Sis, I really envy you. You have a decent job." She had family she cared about. The woman's eyes widened as if she'd heard something hilarious. "You envy me? Don't be silly, girl. Look at you, young, pretty, and clearly well off. I've seen that bag before, the one with the donkey logo, costs tens of thousands. Doesn't it?" I just smiled and said nothing. The bag was just a casual gift from Fu Zhon, yet beneath this seemingly youthful and beautiful exterior lies a core that's rotten and foul. After paying the fare, I was about to get out when she called out to me, "Young lady." I turned back to look at her. Her face, etched with the passage of time, held a profoundly sincere smile as she insisted on pressing the change into my hand. You know, sometimes I think about it. Aside from being a bit poor, I really am quite happy. And you're young and beautiful. Things will definitely get better for you. I've got a good eye for people, and I'm telling you, you're going to be happy. It seems, this is the first time anyone has ever said these words to me. I was stunned for a moment, then slowly took the change and clenched it tightly in my hand. My throat felt tight, as if something was stuck there, making it hard to speak. "Thank you." 12. At 3 in the morning. The urban village was dim and desolate. The usual clamor and life had vanished, leaving only scattered litter strewn across the ground. As I neared Lin Kai's building, I suddenly heard the sound of an argument coming from that direction. The man's voice sounded familiar. Just half an hour ago, he was choking me and cursing me for acting innocent. I focused my gaze and saw it was indeed Fu Zhon. He was holding a slender girl in his arms. Haven't you caused enough trouble? What's so great about that lowlife that you like him? When he seemed to have been drinking, unsteady on her feet, she pushed against him with all her might, tilting her face up to look at the third-floor window. He pulled out his phone again and made another call. "Please, I'm begging you, just come down and see me, okay?" I couldn't hear what was being said on the other end of the line, but I could see her starting to cry. Her shoulders trembled with each sob, a sight that stirred a powerful urge to protect her. Sure enough, Fu Zhon's eyes were filled with heartache. The call seemed to have ended. Then, I saw a familiar figure appear at the third-floor window. The window was pushed open. Lin Kai's face came into view. He lit a cigarette, his gaze idly fixed on when he downstairs. His tone impatient. "Go home, we're not right for each other." After speaking, as if sensing something, he suddenly looked in my direction. 11. From 3 stories up. My gaze met Lin Kai's. Of course, from that distance, I couldn't make out the expression on his face, only the motion of him turning away. Moments later, someone came running out of the stairwell, Lin Kai. When he pushed away Fu Zhon, who was supporting her, and stumbled toward him, her voice trembling with tears. "Lin Kai, let's talk this out properly." "Not now." Lin Kai walked right past her and came toward me. In the alley, only a single flickering street lamp cast a hazy glow on Lin Kai. The light before me dimmed, he draped the jacket he was carrying over my shoulders. "Where have you been?" He took my hand quite naturally, frowning. "You're so cold, over there." Fu Zhon's gaze also turned toward me, caught in the crossfire of their stares. I remained composed, tugging at Lin Kai's sleeve with a hint of a pout. I said, "My stomach hurts, I need to go buy some medicine." I checked a few pharmacies, but none had it. "I'll have to go home to get it." As I spoke, I fished out a half-empty box of pills from my bag as proof. Lin Kai is a reckless yet simple-hearted person. He took me at my word. "Next time, just tell me, I'll go buy it." With that, he scooped me up in his arms, thoughtfully holding down the hem of my skirt to keep me from flashing anyone. "Who is she?" When he walked towards us, her lips pressed together until they were pale. "Lin Kai, just 2 days ago when you turned me down, you said you weren't interested in romance, and her." "I'm sorry." Lin Kai sidestepped, moving past her. "I really wasn't interested. Before." He glanced down at me. "I changed my mind yesterday." I nestled into Lin Kai's arms. As I passed by Fu Zhon, I caught a glimpse of his stormy expression from the corner of my eye. 13. And just like that, I was with Lin Kai. He's a simple soul when it comes to matters of the heart, believing every word I say. This is how he sees me, Ju Yao, orphaned young, who dropped out of school early to work, innocent and fragile, a delicate flower bud in need of his protection. The second day we were together, he took me back to that bar named Isle. A group of rough-looking young men swarmed around us, looking utterly shocked. "Boss, has the old iron tree finally blossomed?" "Bullshit." Someone nudged him and said, "Look at the boss's face. He must have had a rough night." "Get lost." Lin Kai grabbed a pack of cigarettes and threw it, then pulled me into his arms. The guys didn't dare to joke around anymore, and in unison, they all called out, "Hello, sister-in-law." Their voices even drowned out the deafening music. I was so embarrassed that I buried my face in Lin Kai's chest. But in reality, I actually find it a bit amusing. All of Lin Kai's guys are just like him, rough around the edges and brutally honest. They don't seem like gangsters, more like a bunch of edgy teenagers going through a phase. 14. Out of consideration for this delicate bud of mine, Lin Kai's brothers were really holding themselves back. They didn't dare curse. They didn't dare tell dirty jokes, and no one even dared light up a cigarette. They were afraid of choking me out. "Sis-in-law," the guy to my left asked after a couple of drinks, his face full of gossipy curiosity. "Spill the tea for us. How did you manage to land our boss?" "Exactly," someone chimed in. "Sis, you have no idea. The boss has been single for years. There's a line of girls chasing after him that could stretch 3 blocks long, but he doesn't even give them a second glance. We all used to think the boss was into guys. We were terrified all the time. When we went out to scrap, we practically sewed our pants shut. Scared he might try something on us by accident." A wave of raucous laughter filled the room. I chuckled along with them. Then I heard someone say, "Sis, we had a little bet going on the side, trying to guess what kind of girl the boss really likes. We all came to the same conclusion. The boss likes the really pure, really innocent type. It's someone like you, sis." I kept on smiling as usual, but I never did answer. Truth was, my craving for a cigarette had kicked in too. My hand, tucked under the table, rubbed against my leg as I fought desperately to suppress the urge for nicotine. And yet, a flicker of flame caught the corner of my eye. Lin Kai lit a cigarette and offered it to me. No need to hold back. He tucked my hair behind my ear and smiled. "I smelled smoke last night." 15. I was stunned, speechless, but my body was honest. My right hand had already taken the cigarette. With practiced ease, she held the lit cigarette between her index and middle fingers. Giving it a light tap, everyone froze, staring in disbelief at me, their innocent little flower. Only Lin Kai cracked a smile. He lit one for himself and, with a hint of mischief, even clinked his cigarette against mine. It was only then that the others snapped out of their daze. Sigh. They all pulled out their cigarettes and started lighting up for each other. "You should have said so earlier, sis. You had us holding our breath for ages. We didn't even dare light up." I just smiled and didn't say anything, because I couldn't quite figure out what Lin Kai was really thinking. Lin Kai got along great with his crew. He didn't put on any bossy airs. They were all drinking, laughing, and joking around. "Sis," the guy sitting across from me wore black-framed glasses. He didn't look like a street tough at all. He had more of a scholarly air about him. He adjusted his glasses and asked with a smile, "Just how many more secrets are you keeping from our boss?" His tone was teasing, almost playful in its mockery, yet, through those thick lenses, I could see the challenge and threat in his eyes. Underlying it all was a raw, primal desire. I had a feeling, he seemed to know my true identity, but he didn't press further, just laughed along with everyone and changed the subject. The smell of smoke was getting to me, making my chest feel tight. I took a sip of juice when my phone buzzed once in my pocket. "I'm just going to the restroom," Lin Kai nodded. His buddies were pestering him to play dice. He was on a losing streak and had already downed several drinks. The restroom was empty. I leaned against the wall and lit a cigarette, but the wave of nausea churning in my chest just wouldn't subside. I'd only taken a couple of drags when the door suddenly opened. It was a woman with a slightly rounded belly, a pregnant woman. I glanced over, stubbed out the cigarette, and pushed the window open to clear the air. "Thank you." The pregnant woman's voice was soft and pleasant. I nodded, but the churning feeling in my chest grew even stronger, until I could no longer hold it back. I rushed into the toilet stall, didn't even have time to lock the door, bent over and threw up. This was the worst bout of vomiting yet. I felt like I was about to bring up bile. "Are you okay?" A soft, concerned voice came from behind me. The pregnant woman stepped forward and patted my back. "That's a terrible fit of vomiting. Blood," she gasped. "You're coughing up blood." 16. The violent retching made my vision go briefly blurry. It took a few seconds for my vision to clear. It wasn't as bad as she made it sound. There was just a bit of red in the vomit. I carefully guided her out of the stall, flushed the toilet, and wiped my mouth with the tissue she handed me. "Thanks. Are you okay?" She frowned, looking a bit tense. It was a fair, clean, and slightly plump face, one that clearly showed she had been well cared for. "It's nothing." I washed my face at the sink, and when I stepped out, I saw a man waiting by the restroom entrance. Seeing me emerge, he quickly looked up. His gaze swept over my face before settling on the space behind me. "What took you so long?" The man stepped forward, carefully supporting his wife. "Let's go home, sweetheart. You've seen the bar now, and it's too loud in here. It's not good for the baby." He coaxed her patiently. "If you haven't had enough fun, how about I play some games with you when we get home?" She nodded, but still glanced back at me. Just then, someone walked around them and came towards me. It was Lin Kai. "Are you her boyfriend?" she asked in a low voice. She was just in the restroom. I borrowed a pack of tissues from her. I cut her off, smiled at her, and said, "Thanks." Her husband chuckled and gently booped her nose. "You're bringing up a pack of tissues with her boyfriend, you little penny pincher." With that, he coaxed her into leaving. Leaning against the wall to catch my breath, I looked up at Lin Kai. "What brings you here? You were gone too long." I was worried. What could possibly happen in the bathroom? I followed him back the way we came. My hair, tied up, felt uncomfortable, and I couldn't help but fiddle with it. The next second, someone gently pulled the hair tie out. Lin Kai slipped it onto his wrist. "You look good with your hair down like that, too. Just do whatever feels comfortable." Lin Kai glanced at me sideways. He always gave me this feeling of a reckless sort of gentleness. He told me, "You can just be yourself around me, no need to hide anything." I asked with a smile, "Do you even know what the real me is like?" He looked at me quietly and shook his head. I just smiled and didn't say anything more. It was precisely because he didn't know that he could say something like that with such certainty. 17. Lin Kai left very early today. Before leaving, he gave me a kiss on the cheek. He thought I didn't notice, but in truth, I woke at the first light of dawn, nestled in his arms, quietly gazing out the window, watching the sky gradually lighten. For me, this was a rare moment of peace. After Lin Kai left, I went to the hospital. A few test reports were crumpled into a messy pile, the paper so flimsy, and yet, so heavy. I sat in the chair, listening to the doctor's endless stream of advice, but in truth, just like all the times before, I barely took in a word she said. "Thanks, Dr. Ju." I gave him a smile. "I heard everything you said, I'll think it over." The doctor adjusted his glasses, his tone weary as he explained for what felt like the 100th time. "My surname is Jiang Ju. My apologies." I slowly gathered the test results and asked him, "Doctor, do you think people have a next life?" He was silent for a couple of seconds. "I'm sorry, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in the concept of an afterlife. We should focus on living this life well." So, about your condition, yeah. Cutting him off, I tucked away the lab report. Well, I'll be going now, Dr. Jew, alright. I shuffled slowly down the corridor. Oh, humanity. The world changes with the heart. After coming to this office a few times, my initial fear of death has given way to a vague, unsettling impulse for release. After leaving the hospital, I hailed a cab and headed to a private clinic, 3rd floor, inpatient ward. When I pushed the door open, a faint scent of antiseptic still lingered in the room. Mom. I sat by the bedside, looking at the woman with graying hair in the hospital bed. How have you been these past few days? Did the caregiver turn on the TV for you? To watch your favorite show, Dream of the Red Chamber? Did you miss me? It was all just me talking to myself. Really, with an oxygen mask on, she couldn't speak at all. She could only give my hand the faintest, gentlest squeeze when I held hers. Her name was Chen Shurong, and she was my adoptive mother. When I was 4, I was abducted by traffickers, sold to a criminal gang, and forced to beg for money on the streets. When I was 7, my adoptive parents brought me home. My mother has always been very good to me. She originally had a daughter of her own, born to her later in life, who was the same age as me, but that daughter went missing at the age of 5 and has never been found. She saw me on the street, took pity on me, and just like that, brought me home to raise as her own. My adoptive father was an alcoholic and loved to gamble at mahjong. His wins and losses were often in the hundreds, which was a huge sum of money in those days. The two of them often fought because of it. Sometimes, after losing money or drinking too much, he would grab my mother by the hair and beat her, yelling that she couldn't bear a son, calling her a barren hen. Sometimes he would hit me, too, but my mother would always shield me. She would wrap me in her arms, holding me tight, and say through her tears, "It's okay, Yao Yao, don't be afraid." But my real name is Yao Yao. The name Yao Yao, spoken with such tenderness by my mother, belonged to her own biological daughter who had gone missing. She raised me as if I were her own flesh and blood. Yet, when I turned 16, my foster father sold me into that wretched place. He had slipped something into my water. My whole body went weak and limp, leaving me without the strength to even try to run. After all these years, my memory has grown hazy. I only vaguely recall that the room was full of people, full of men. They were smoking and laughing, cursing and shouting. I don't know who started it, but someone grabbed at my clothes. It hurt. I'm so scared. I wanted to run, but there was no escape, until the door burst open, and my mother stumbled in, screaming. She pushed the others aside, shielding me as she tried to pull me away, but they stopped me. That night. The memory has grown hazy, and I've never dared to revisit that night. Then, she led me away, her steps unsteady. We went to the police station to file a report. She held me close, whispering words of comfort, even though she herself was covered in wounds. And after that, when my adoptive father sold me off again, she was in a car accident on her way to get me back. She was left paralyzed. At 16, I was still no match for my adoptive father. All these years since, I've used the dirty money I earned to pay for her medical care. She must have been disgusted with me. That's why she barely spoke to me again. 18. When I arrived today, I was wearing a white dress. My hair, dyed black, fell softly and was tucked behind my ears. She looked at me for a long, long time. She wept. Tears traced the furrowed paths of her wrinkles and fell onto the pillow, forming a small, damp patch. She gestured for me to remove her oxygen mask, wanting to speak. I hesitated, then took it off for her. She was struggling to breathe, so it could only be off for a moment. She took my hand gently and said, "My greatest regret was bringing you home." I froze. My nose stung with emotion as I gently patted her pale hand. "Yes, if you hadn't found me, you wouldn't have." She cut me off, her voice so frail I had to strain to hear it, her voice choked with tears. If another family had adopted you, you would have grown up so happy. It's my fault, I've failed you." Her breathing grew faint. I quickly placed the oxygen mask back over her face. She could no longer speak, but in her clouded eyes, I read all the words she could not say. What she meant to say was this: if I had been adopted by someone else, even if the family wasn't wealthy, at the very least, I could have grown up safe, sound, and with a clean slate. In that case, then the person I am today would probably be the person I was meant to be. Suddenly, I was completely overcome with sobs. 5 years ago, my adoptive father died. It was a heart attack. When it struck, he collapsed and began crawling, inch by inch, toward the medicine cabinet, and I just crouched there. Watching, I waited until he crawled to the cabinet, then I opened the drawer, took out the medicine, and threw it away. I just stood there and watched that monster die in agony, full of resentment, writhing right in front of me. Only then did I calmly, unhurriedly, call 911. Later, I scattered his ashes in many different places, toilets, cesspits, pigsties, every filthy place imaginable. But I know, no matter what, nothing can make up for the life that's been ruined. 19. Perhaps too overwhelmed by emotion, my mother soon fell asleep after calming down. I sat by the bed for a while, feeling a sharp, knife-like pain twisting in my stomach. Just as I was about to leave, someone pushed the door open and came in. Fu Zhon's gaze paused at my collar, darkening slightly. "That's a hickey Lin Kai left last night. I sent you to seduce that punk, and you ended up liking it." The tone was sarcastic, as usual. I didn't say a word. This hospital isn't public. Fu Zhon is the majority shareholder. I tried several times to transfer my foster mother to another hospital, but I was forcibly stopped each time. As long as Fu Zhon didn't give his consent, there was no way I could take her. My mother was sleeping soundly in the hospital bed, so I lowered my voice and said, "Let's talk outside." As I was heading out, Fu Zhon suddenly grabbed my arm. "Where do you think you're going?" He gripped my shoulder, feeling guilty. His thumb brushed over the hickey with clear dissatisfaction, and in Fu Zhon's eyes, I saw a raw, unmistakable desire. Before I could even struggle, Fu Zhon pinned me down on the empty hospital bed next door. The bodyguards are posted at the door. No one can get in. The implication couldn't be clearer. "Have you lost your mind?" I lowered my voice. "My mom is still here." "Perfect," Fu Zhon said, his tone casual. "Let her see what her precious daughter has done to save her." Just as I reached for my phone, he snatched it and threw it away first. "What, is Lin Kai allowed to touch you?" "But I'm not." He pinned me down on the bed from above, hurling cutting remarks that systematically dismantled what little self-respect I had left. I began to struggle, then I sank my teeth hard into his arm. As the metallic taste of blood flooded my mouth, Fu Zhon flew into a rage and slapped me hard across the face. "It hurts." I tilted my head, even feeling a ringing in my ears. The only small mercy was that my mother was still asleep. She's been getting weaker lately, and the caregiver said she often drifts into a deep, heavy sleep for hours, the kind that's hard to rouse her from. That's something, at least. She should not have to see the daughter she raised brought to such a humiliating state. A surge of rage rose within me, and I fought to swallow back the metallic taste of blood in my throat. All strength to struggle had left me. Yet, Fu Zhon gently drew me closer into his embrace. "I'm sorry," he said. He stared at the handprint on my face, his tone softening. I lost my temper for a moment. "Ju Yao, I've changed my mind." He pulled me into his embrace. "I've actually grown a bit unused to you not being by my side. I'll get someone else to handle this. Come back." What a lunatic. Rich playboys like Fu Zhon do everything on a whim. When they're in a good mood, they'll throw money around in the street for fun. When they're not, they have 100 ways to make your life miserable. Self-absorbed and aloof. As he lowered his head to kiss me, I didn't pull away. I just said quietly, "I heard Wanhe is moving next door to Lynch's place today." That single sentence successfully stopped Fu Zhon in his tracks. "What?" I glanced at my watch. They should have moved by now. 20. Once again, when he had subtly shielded me from Fu Zhon, and I really wasn't lying to him, when Fu Zhon arrived, when he was standing outside the house next to Lin Kai's, directing a group of movers, "Put that table in front of the window. This is my favorite antique vase. Be careful with it. Place it on that cabinet." Fu Zhon pulled her aside, displeased. "You're sure about living here?" "Absolutely." When he shook off his hand, "This place is just fine." Both the Wen and Fu families were prominent local enterprises. When he was born with a silver spoon in her mouth, forget about a village in the city, she'd probably never even lived in an ordinary residential neighborhood. Although our interactions were limited, it was clear when he had been raised very well by her family. She had that delicate, pampered air of a young lady from a wealthy family, but none of the snobbish, holier-than-thou arrogance. She never minced words with Fu Zhon. She didn't even let him in the door, shooing Fu Zhon away right then and there. Leaning against the door frame, a dull, throbbing ache pulsed from some deep-seated organ. I didn't want more painkillers. So I lit a cigarette instead, when he seemed bothered by the smoke, fanning the air with her hand, but she didn't say a word, just kept directing the movers. The sofa is genuine leather, so be careful not to scratch it. No sooner had the words been spoken, the workers carrying the sofa hurried along. And the sofa scraped against a nearby cabinet. In an inconspicuous spot on the cabinet's body, a nail protruded. The sofa had a small tear in it. The worker in charge immediately went pale. The young man, fresh out into the world, turned white as a sheet and asked for the price with a trembling voice. Her shot him an annoyed look. Can you even afford to pay for it? That little patch would cost you years of your salary. Their face grew even paler. Forget it, when he waved a hand dismissively. Be careful with your work. These things of mine are very expensive. You can't afford to pay for it if you break it. And you still dare not be meticulous. I watched, tilting my head slightly. She's all bark and no bite. This young mistress. Quite a while later, I was back in the kitchen, apron on, cooking for Lin Kai when he came knocking. Fancy some afternoon tea? I stood there with the spatula in hand, silent for a couple of seconds. Sure, 21, next door. When his furniture filled the small rental apartment, the table was laden with the afternoon tea she had prepared, nearly overflowing. Her poured me a cup of black tea, its aroma rich and fragrant. Would you like to hear the story of Lin Kai and me? She asked me suddenly. Yes, it's called a story. But there's really nothing much to tell. It was just 3 years ago, when he ditched her bodyguards late at night and went to a bar alone. She got drunk. Some guy tried to hit on her and get handsy, and then Lin Kai stepped in. Actually, that bar was under his protection, just like I was back in the day. If anything went down there, Lin Kai would handle it. But that's just how a rich girl's affection is, so naive and yet so intense. She fell for the hero who saved her, following him around day and night, until her family forced her to go abroad. During her 3 years overseas, Lin Kai was never far from her thoughts. The first thing she did upon returning home was to seek him out. The tea in her cup was still steaming hot when her story came to an end, when he took a small bite of a cookie and hesitantly asked me, "Are you Fu Zhon's girlfriend of 3 years?" To be honest, she was being quite polite. When people out there talk about me, who would ever use the word girlfriend, most just mention me with a dismissive tone. Her, just a mistress that Fu Zhon keeps. I smiled without a word, which was as good as a yes. So, did Fu Zhon send you to get close to Lin Kai? I took a sip of tea. I'm sorry, but I have no comment. When he stared at me for a long time, the silence stretched on so long that I was half convinced she was about to throw her hot tea in my face. Then, she suddenly let out a sigh. I can see that Lin Kai has genuinely fallen for you. He's incredibly stubborn. Even if he found out later that you approached him with an ulterior motive, he'd still throw caution to the wind and stay with you. But the reason I moved here is to compete fairly. I learned from a young age that if you want something, you can't just wish for it, you have to go out and fight for it yourself. She looked at me calmly, speaking slowly. As for Lin Kai, I wouldn't say I'm certain to win him over, but I will give it my absolute all. Ju Yao, I have faith in myself. I will stand by his side. I took small sips from the cup of hot tea I was holding. After a long pause, I let out a soft chuckle. I said nothing. I'm not sure what to say, you know. I really think when his tenacity and Lin Kai are a good match. We tacitly agreed to drop the subject. We chatted about this and that for a while, and then a knock came at the door. Lin Kai stood at the doorway without entering, just raising the bag in his hand toward me. Yao Yao, let's go home, just 4 simple words, yet they left me momentarily dazed. Yao Yao, only my mother ever called me that. She is the only person in this world who truly loves me, but more often than not, her pronunciation sounded more like Yao Yao. I know that she is always looking through me, missing her lost daughter who was the same age as me, coming back to my senses. Lin Kai was still standing at the door waiting for me, his gaze fixed intently on me, just watching, just looking at me. I snapped out of it and replied hoarsely, "Okay, 22. I followed Lin Kai back to his place. He placed the bag on the dining table, carefully opened it, and to my surprise, it was filled with a collection of exquisite little cakes. They were a colorful assortment, with every flavor imaginable. I was momentarily stunned. Over the years, I've received many gifts from men. Money, jewelry, flowers, luxury watches. I'm after their money, they're after my looks. It's a mutually understood transaction. For the first time, Someone treated me like a young girl, sending over a pile of delicate and adorable desserts. He opened another bag, which was filled with milk tea in various flavors. Seeing that I still hadn't spoken, Lin Kai pressed his fingers to his brow, looking rather uneasy and a bit nervous. Don't you like it? Those little jerks said all girls like this kind of stuff. He made a move to take the bag back. It's fine, I'll go share these with the others. I do. I walked over, picked up a little strawberry-flavored cake, and scooped out a small bite with a spoon. The cream melts slowly on the tongue, its cloying sweetness flooding the taste buds. I've never had it. I don't like sweets, because I've always felt they're meant for people who are truly happy, and I don't deserve them. Delicious. I bit down on the plastic spoon. Looking down, it's very sweet. Lin Kai quickly handed me a cup of milk tea. Taro balls, 70% sweetness. My stomach churned, yet I kept forcing spoonful after spoonful into my mouth. Ju Yarrow was someone who grew up steeped in bitterness. Having endured such a difficult upbringing, was there any hardship she hadn't tasted? Yet today, having finally tasted a little sweetness, I found myself at a loss. It was only at this moment I understood. Someone like me, so practiced in the ways of romance, was ultimately so impoverished in matters of the heart. Even a simple dessert can make me feel loved. I suddenly felt utterly pathetic. My eyes grew a little misty. I swallowed the mouthful of cake, fumbled for the cigarette pack on the table, and lit one. Trying to hold back the tears, he snatched the cigarette right out of my hand. It's fine to smoke, but don't use it to cope when you're feeling down. It's bad for your health, after all. Lin Kai crouched in front of me, looking up at me with his head slightly tilted. For some reason, he reminded me of a loyal, large-breed dog. What's wrong? No, I sniffled. It's delicious. It's just, I feel like I've been missing out, never having eaten anything this good before. Lin Kai was amused. He ruffled my hair. I'll buy it for you every day from now on. I'll get so fat. I'd still like you even if you were. Nestled in Lin Kai's arms. We kept up our playful back-and-forth banter, just like any ordinary young couple, except, before they knew it, their conversation had led them to the bed. The curtains were drawn. Just as I was about to buckle under the impact, his hand came up to shield my head. Lin Kai, my hand, which had been gripping his shoulder, slid down and brushed against the spot below his collarbone. Did you get a tattoo? Yeah. He lowered his head and kissed me. Do you like it? I told him the honest truth. It's hideous. Who gets someone else's name tattooed *here*, just below his left collarbone? The name Ju Yarrow was inked. That spot is so close to the heart. Time and again, the words rose to my lips only to be swallowed back. But in the end, I couldn't help asking him, you got my name tattooed. How are you going to get a girlfriend now? He pulled me into his arms, his voice a little hoarse. Why would I want any other girlfriend? You're all I need. Lin Kai buried his face in the crook of my shoulder. I never thought about romance before. If you ever break up with me, I won't think about it ever again. I was stunned. Break up? Did he really think we were in a serious relationship? Lin Kai, I wanted to have a proper talk with him, to tell him my true intentions for getting close to him. But then my mother's aged and frail face flashed through my mind. The words on the tip of my tongue were swallowed back down. I traced the characters of my name on his skin with my fingertip. Does it hurt? It doesn't hurt. He lowered his head, swallowing all the words I had left to say. 23. At 4 in the morning, I was jolted awake by the ringing of my phone. Lin Kai answered the call for me and held the phone to my ear. Hello? Is this MS? Ju, I'm afraid your mother has passed away. My fingernails dug deep into my palm. The sharp pain proof that this phone call was not a dream. Lin Kai, who was beside me, heard it too. Without asking a single question, he got up quickly, got dressed, and accompanied me to the hospital. The whole way there, I quietly watched the scenery rushing past the car window. I didn't say a word, not a single tear was shed. My eyes were painfully dry, without a hint of moisture. I thought to myself, I really am heartless, not even shedding a tear at a time like this. In a daze, I made my way to the hospital. I saw the doctors and nurses. After what felt like an eternity, I was finally led into a room and saw the figure on the bed, covered by a white sheet. A person, once full of life, now lay beneath a white sheet, utterly still and silent. I walked over in a daze and took her hand, stiff, cold. Only then did I truly feel the finality of our parting. A familiar nurse gently patted my shoulder. Aunt Shun took off her ventilator by herself in the early hours. She wanted to go. Why? I tried so hard to save her. Why would she give up on her own? Suddenly, I remembered that day in the hospital room, when Fujian pinned me down on the caregiver's bed. Let her see what her precious daughter has done to save her. In an instant, all my strength seemed to drain away. I leaned against the hospital bed, my body slowly sliding down, until Lin Kai caught me and pulled me into his embrace. "I'm here," he said, outside the ward. He told me over and over again that he was still with me. He would stay by my side. His hushed, repeated words of comfort finally pierced through my muddled thoughts. Unconsciously, I clung to his arm. "She knows everything," I murmured. "She wasn't asleep." Lin Kai didn't understand, but he comforted me patiently, until Nurse Chen slipped me a note. "This was found under your mother's pillow. It must be for you." It was a single, flimsy sheet of paper. Yet it took me a long moment to unfold it. The handwriting wasn't my mother's. She must have asked a nurse to write it for her, and it was a bit scrawled. There were only a few brief lines. "The truth is, Yao Yao never went missing. She died when she was 4. I just couldn't bring myself to accept it. Back then, I wanted to end my own life, until I found you and brought you home. Yao Yao, you gave me a reason to live. I don't want to be a burden to you anymore," she said. "Yao Yao is the kindest, purest girl in my heart, always will be." Clutching that piece of paper, I wept and laughed. Finally, large teardrops fell, smudging the paper. "I think, she just went down to be a mother to Yao Yao." 24. Lin Kai handled all the funeral arrangements, dressed in a black suit. He knelt beside me in full mourning attire, his men filling the funeral hall as they paid their respects. He stayed by my side to see my mother off on her final journey. At the front of the hall, he knelt solemnly before my mother's portrait and made a solemn vow. "Auntie, I, Lin Kai, promise you that I will protect Ju Yao. I will never let her suffer the slightest grievance again. I will protect her with my life." With each vow, he kowtowed heavily. The brothers behind him, without a word, followed suit and kowtowed as well. The room was filled with a heavy, oppressive silence. I stared blankly at Lin Kai's retreating figure, and for some inexplicable reason, a passage I had once read came to mind. I longed to be someone's treasure for a lifetime, to be kept safe and sound, handled with the utmost care, spared from fright, spared from sorrow, spared from a life of wandering, spared from having nowhere to belong. I've never been one to believe in matters of the heart, but in this moment, I can't help but think that I've finally found my home. Even I, who never dared to dream, can't help but wish in this moment if only Lin Kai could have been there when I was 16. He will definitely storm into that room and take me away. If only. But there are no what ifs in this world. Not a single minute can be rewound. I could only quietly clutch the hem of his shirt, hoping this flawed version of myself could stay by his side a little longer. 25. After my mother passed away, my health began to deteriorate day by day. I was growing thinner by the day. My stomach was constantly churning with pain. Sometimes the pain would wake me in the dead of night, a sharp, stabbing sensation in my gut as if a knife had been plunged there. When it hurt too much to sleep, I'd take 2 pills and then carefully nestle into Lin Kai's arms, afraid of waking him. I would trace the lines of his brows and eyes with my gaze, over and over again. I never dared to let Lin Kai notice anything was off with me. But one night, when he picked me up and pressed me against the windowsill, he still frowned. "You've lost weight again." His large hand squeezed my waist. "There's no meat on you at all." He insisted on taking me to the hospital. I wrapped my arms around his neck, leaned in, and gave him a kiss. "No, I hate the smell of hospital disinfectant the most. It's just the same old issue, a bit of a stomach problem. That's all." I gave his waist a gentle pinch. "It's all your fault. Always so busy with who knows what that you never have time to make sure I eat properly. It's all this takeout food that's upset my stomach." I wrapped my arms around his waist, pushing down that pang of sadness. "Could you please not be so busy lately? Just spend a little more time with me. I'm so scared. If it gets any later, I won't have any time left to spend with you." "Okay." Lin Kai carefully pulled me into his embrace. "Starting tomorrow, I won't go there anymore. I'll stay home with you." Lin Kai never lies to me. But when I woke up the next day, the other side of the bed was empty. I reached out and felt the sheets. They were cold. Never mind. He must be busy. This is the only way I can console myself. However, just as I pushed myself up from the bed, The door suddenly swung open. Lin Kai walked in, wearing the little pink apron I bought and carrying breakfast. "Go wash up," he said. "I made your favorite tomato and egg noodles." I was stunned for a long moment. Then, I smiled. Okay, to be honest, Lin Kai's cooking skills leave a lot to be desired. Even the simplest bowl of noodles was a mess. The tomatoes were hard, the egg had completely disintegrated into tiny bits, and it was too salty, but I finished it all anyway. Lin Kai has really put work on the back burner lately. He stays home with me every day, sometimes accompanying me for a walk downstairs or a trip to the supermarket. As we pushed the shopping cart past a pane of glass, I caught our blurry reflection and, for a fleeting moment, had the strange illusion that we were an old married couple. Lin Kai treats me incredibly well, even his buddies often joke with a hint of envy, saying the boss doesn't act like the boss anymore, more like an old, devoted servant. Honestly, I never understood why Lin Kai liked me. That was until one night, when I went downstairs to buy cigarettes. I went to look for some change in his wallet and unexpectedly found a photo tucked away in one of its compartments. It was an old photo, grainy and out of focus, but even so, I could tell the girl in the pleated skirt bore a striking resemblance to me in profile. Lin Kai shifted in his sleep on the bed, and I frantically stuffed the photo back into the wallet, quickly returning it to its original spot, at this moment of discovering Lin Kai's secret. I couldn't believe I was such a coward. I shuffled downstairs in my slippers to get some fresh air, so that's why Lin Kai was so nice to me. It's fine, it's not like it's the first time I've been someone's stand-in anyway. I sat on the stairs, trying to console myself. The sky was perfectly clear one moment, and then it just started pouring. 26. Fu Zhon had been going next door to see when he a lot lately, but more often than not, he'd be left standing outside a closed door. The walls in this rental are paper-thin, so I often hear them arguing. One night, the sounds of an argument from next door were unusually clear. The sound of shattering glass came, followed by when his scornful voice, "Why on earth should I like a good-for-nothing playboy like you? What is there for me to like about you? Your selfishness, or the way you put on this act of deep affection all day, playing out scenes that only move yourself." She laughed. "You keep saying you love me so much you'd rather die, yet in the 3 years I was abroad, you spent all 3 looking for so-called replacements." Fu Zhon, "I went abroad, I didn't die. If you had just had the nerve to follow me across the Atlantic back then, you might have actually won me over, but what did you do?" When his barrage of words was sharp and forceful, leaving Fu Zhon utterly speechless, from the other side of the wall, I couldn't hear Fu Zhon's reply. Next door fell quiet. I was about to call it a night, having found no juicy gossip to entertain me, when my phone suddenly rang. It was an unknown number. "Hello, is this Ju Yao?" The voice sounded familiar. Before I could ask, the person on the other end quickly introduced themselves. "This is Jiang Ju." I paused for a moment, then chuckled. "Dr. Ju." After a 2-second silence on the other end, they didn't dwell on the matter and instead advised, "I know whether to pursue treatment is your choice. And as a doctor, I have no right to interfere, but I still want to urge you to start treatment as soon as possible. If it's a matter of cost, I can try to help you contact an aid organization. Thank you, Dr. Ju." I walked to the bathroom, locked the door, and replied in a very quiet voice, "I don't really plan on getting treatment, but you're still so young. If I go through with the treatment, will I live?" There was a pause on the other end. "At least a few months longer." I lit a cigarette, watching the smoke blur the pale face of the woman in the mirror. But live how? Like my mother, wasting away in a hospital bed, too weak to even take care of her own basic needs. Then I'd rather not have those few months. Dr. Ju, I don't want to leave that way. Thank you for your kindness, but I'll make my own decision. Good night, Dr. Ju. I hung up the phone. Lin Kai had gone downstairs to get food. The bathroom was dead quiet. It wasn't until the cigarette burned my finger that I finally snapped out of it. The truth is, when I first found out I was sick, I was terrified of dying. So, for Fu Zhon's 3 million, I agreed to seduce Lin Kai. That money wasn't just for my mother, it was for me, too. The truth is, I'm just an ordinary person. I cling to life and fear death. Otherwise, I would have died for my innocence long ago. I endured so much humiliation and swallowed so much suffering, all just to stay alive, to live well. Together with my mother, that's all there is to it. Yet, it's so incredibly hard. My mother is gone, and I didn't make it either. Heaven has never been kind to me, except for one thing, letting me meet Lin Kai, though he was only looking through me, gazing at the shadow of another. My life has been one of constant upheaval, always living in someone else's shadow. I've never truly been able to be myself. 27. After 2 months, I received another text from Fu Zhon. He sent me an address, ordering me in a commanding tone to meet him there. I immediately blocked the number. Other calls started coming in, which I rejected one by one before finally just turning off my phone. However, after dinner, Lin Kai suddenly received a call. A group of drunks were causing trouble at the bar, and half the place had been trashed. You finish your meal, I'll go deal with this and be right back. I couldn't help but grab the hem of his shirt. Be careful, don't worry. Lin Kai left in a hurry. I stayed home waiting for him, but I was so worried that I couldn't settle down. He had only been gone a few minutes when a frantic knocking came at the door. My heart jumped, thinking he must have forgotten something. Without a second thought, I opened it. But standing outside was Fu Zhon. I hurried to close the door, but he was quicker, blocking it with his body. The door was shoved open with force. Fu Zhon locked the door. The pungent smell of alcohol hit me. He had been drinking. His eyes bloodshot as he stared at me. Ju Yao, you've fallen for that hoodlum too, haven't you? My hand, hidden in my pocket, quietly fumbled for my phone as I tried to look at him calmly. Yes, my emergency contact is Lin Kai. The call had just connected when Fu Zhon lunged at me, pinning me hard against the wall, his crimson eyes reflecting my utter helplessness. Ju Yao, I think I'm starting to regret this, just like he used to. He twirled a strand of my hair around his finger. Seeing you with Lin Kai, it makes my blood boil. It hurts even more than seeing when he fancy him. He lowered his head, intending to kiss me. I'll let when he go. Come back to me, please. I turned my head away, his lips grazing down my cheek. Running away, Fu Zhon gripped my face tightly. It's not like it's the first time. What are you pretending for, Ju Yao? A woman who clawed her way up from the bottom among men like you. Don't tell me you're suddenly putting on an act of chaste virtue. He scoffed. I must have been out of my mind to care about you so much. With that, ignoring my struggles, he began to tear at my clothes. Fu Zhon was always like this. He was utterly inconsiderate of others' feelings, forceful, overbearing, and selfish, like a beast, unknown to anyone, driven only by the most primal urges. My increasingly frail body was powerless to push him away. I fumbled for the phone in my pocket and slammed it hard against his forehead. Fu Zhon grunted and instantly released his grip. The metal phone case scraped a gash across his forehead, and blood trickled down from between his brows. Suddenly, the sound of a lock turning echoed. Panic surged through me. My instinct was to hide my disheveled state from Lin Kai, but just as I tried to flee, Fu Zhon's grip tightened, holding me fast. He pinned me down firmly, waiting for Lin Kai to enter. Then, the door swung open. What met Lin Kai's eyes was my utterly wretched figure. To anyone watching, I must have looked a complete mess, like I'd just been caught in the act. Lin Kai had a few of his boys with him. Seeing this, their eyes instantly burned with rage. Who the hell are you? How dare you lay a hand on my brother's woman? Fu Zhon gripped my wrist and sneered. Lin Kai, don't tell me you actually thought you were sleeping with some delicate flower. Don't be a fool, she's been rotten to the core for a long time now. He took a step forward, pulling me along with him. I stumbled, off balance. You're the only one who still treats her like a treasure. She's nothing but a cheap fling I had. Lin Kai's fist cut his words short. Fu Zhon was knocked to the ground. He desperately grabbed Lin Kai's arm. Lin Kai, have you lost your mind? One word from me, and you and your crew are finished. Is that so? Lin Kai responded indifferently, then drove his fist hard into Fu Zhon's face. Again and again, Fu Zhon was completely powerless to fight back. I clutched the hem of my clothes tightly, struggling to calm myself down. Two of Lin Kai's underlings walked over, without looking directly at me. They took off their jackets and handed them over, saying, "Sister-in-law, put this on for now, don't worry. We'll take care of that son of a bitch for you." I slowly took the coat and draped it over my shoulders. I thought Lin Kai was just letting off steam, but he was going for the kill. His buddies panicked and rushed to pull him back. "Boss, stop, if you keep going, someone's really gonna get hurt, if something serious happens." The Fu family won't let this slide. However, Lin Kai, who had been stopped, turned and went into the kitchen. When he came back out, he was holding a cleaver. poised to swing it down. Fu Zhon's face went pale, he turned and bolted for the door, but Lin Kai chased after him. Lin Kai, my voice trembled, seizing the moment while a few of the guys held Lin Kai back. I ran forward and stood in front of him, trying to take the knife from his hand. Don't do anything rash. Give me the knife. Okay. Lin Kai's eyes were bloodshot. In the end, he slowly loosened his grip. His brothers hurriedly snatched the knife away. Fu Zhon had already seized the moment to slip away, the half-open door revealing his frantic scramble down the stairs. Damn it, one of Lin Kai's underlings suddenly cursed. The boss has a family to go back to. But I don't. I'll cut you down, you bastard. At worst, it's a life for a life. With that, before anyone could react, he charged toward the door. A commotion erupted from downstairs. Lin Kai's voice was hoarse and strained. Go stop Xiao Chen, let him go for now. The other two exchanged a glance, quickly acknowledged the order, and gently closed the door behind them as they left. Lin Kai and I stood amidst the wreckage, both of us silent. I always knew this day would come, that he'd eventually uncover my sordid past, but now that it's here, I'm at a loss. Unsure of what tone to take or how to face him, I could only force myself to steady my trembling hands, pulling out a cigarette and using the act of lighting it to hide my nerves, as the flame flared. I said with feigned nonchalance, it's just like you see, Lin Kai, I'm really not some innocent girl. I bit my lip. I really am a rotten. Lin Kai cut off my words with a kiss. He held me down firmly, his kiss unrestrained and desperate, as if trying to press me into his very being. To fuse me with his flesh and blood. It was urgent, dominant, as if he were trying to prove something. He didn't let go until I was nearly breathless. His eyes were bloodshot. Lin Kai cupped my face. I know everything. He spoke slowly. I know you got close to me because of Fu Zhon. I know you deliberately put those 2 drops of blood there that night. I know about your past, too. But as long as you don't bring it up, I can pretend I never knew for the rest of my life. I don't mention it not because it doesn't bother me, but because I don't want you to be weighed down by it. When my past came up, Lin Kai's eyes welled up before mine even did, his hands, cradling my face, tightened slightly. I just regret not meeting you sooner, he sighed. If only, he paused, his voice trembling a little. If I had met you that year, I rose on my toes, wrapped my arms around his neck, and kissed him. It cut off the rest of his words. Lin Kai, there are no what ifs in this world, but your open, unabashed favoritism gave me the courage to face the outcome. Honestly, for a moment I wanted to ask him about that photo, but the words died on my lips. Never mind. I want to spend the last of my days by his side, even if it means being just a shadow. Someone like me was never meant for the light. Being a shadow suits me just fine. 28. After that incident, Lin Kai treated me just the same as always. The guys never brought up what happened that day. It's just that her moved away, as the movers carried away her luxury furniture. When he didn't shout orders anymore, she just leaned against the wall, watching quietly. On closer look, her eyes were slightly red. Ju Yao, she turned her head to look at me and said softly, Lin Kai truly loves you, the kind of love where he'd risk his life for you. She shrugged. I give up. I didn't know what to say. When it comes to matters of the heart, I'm incredibly dense. But when he wasn't the type to dwell on things, she quickly changed the subject. My father and the Fu family have had a falling out recently over some business issues. Don't worry, my father and I will bring the Fu family down. Consider it payback for the wrongs Fu Zhon did to you. She smiled. Think of it as a gift for you and Fu Zhon. I slowly uttered my thanks. Actually, when he is a wonderful girl, she has the pride of a young lady from a good family, but she never lets it go to her head. She loves and hates with her whole heart. In fact, there was a moment when I even wanted to tell her about my illness, to tell her that after I'm gone, she and Lin Kai could actually be together. They're a perfect match. But the words died on my lips. I think this is a stain on both Lin Kai and Wen's reputations. While I remained silent, the staff had already moved out all of Wen's furniture. So, she's gone. She gave me a faint smile. He took a couple of steps away, then turned back and gave my shoulder a gentle pat. Don't sell yourself short, Ju Yao. Everyone has to look forward. No one cares about your past. You're the only one who's hung up on it. 29. Lin Kai and I shared a stretch of carefree days. He wasn't wealthy, but he was never stingy when it came to spending on me. I didn't need much in the way of material things either. Having enough to eat and wear, not having to please those disgusting men with my body, having someone by my side, someone who loved me, that was enough. To me, this is what a good life feels like. Every moment with Lin Kai felt so blissful, it was like living on borrowed time. Ju Yaro had a notorious reputation in their circle as a social butterfly, yet, under Lin Kai's care, she genuinely softened into a tender-hearted girl. She would throw herself into his arms over a strawberry-flavored cupcake, tremble from a single kiss, and sob uncontrollably over a thoughtfully prepared little gift. Yet, I never found the courage to tell him about my illness. He knew everything about my past, except for one thing. The blood on the sheets that day wasn't from me deliberately cutting my finger, it was my nosebleed in the middle of the night. I'm afraid my luck won't last much longer to enjoy such good days. On a gloomy, rainy day, while Lin Kai was away handling some business, I went alone to a tattoo parlor. I pointed to the spot just below my left collarbone and told the tattoo artist. Ink a name here, Lin Kai, Lin, as in the forest, Kai, as in galloping. Lin Kai never told me a tattoo could hurt this much, and yet, it was just below the collarbone, so why did the pain seem to radiate deep into my very core? I gritted my teeth and held on until the very end. I stared at the reddened mark in the mirror, and at the two characters, Lin Kai, etched so close to my heart. I let out a soft, bitter laugh. Then, I slowly crumpled to the floor, losing consciousness. 30. I felt like I'd been asleep for ages, in a complete daze. When I opened my eyes, I saw Lin Kai. He was sitting by the bed, looking more disheveled than I'd ever seen him. A stubbly beard shadowed his jaw, and a web of fine red veins traced his tired eyes. Yaro Yaro, he grabbed my hand, then suddenly eased his grip, as if afraid of hurting me. You're awake? His voice was terribly hoarse. A crowd instantly gathered around the hospital bed. It turned out Lin Kai's brothers were all there too. Why didn't you tell me? Lin Kai's hand, resting on his shoulder, clenched into a tight fist, as if he was struggling to hold something back. Why aren't you getting treatment? Because there's no point in treatment anymore. I smiled faintly, nuzzling my cheek against Lin Kai's hand as it held mine. It's a blood disease. By the time they found it, it was already terminal. They can only prolong my life, not save it. Lin Kai tried to say something to me, but his voice caught in his throat. We'll treat it. He squeezed my hand. It's treatable. I have the money. I'll find you the best doctors. I'll drag them here myself if I have to. I shook my head, but I don't want treatment, Lin Kai. I don't want to suffer, and I don't want to waste the money. Besides, chemo makes your hair fall out. It makes you look awful. I just want to stay pretty and spend a little more time with you. The room was terrifyingly quiet. Then, the sound of quiet sobbing began. All of Lin Kai's little brothers were actually crying. Sis, we can all chip in for the money. Just focus on getting better. Don't let the boss be alone anymore. Before he met you, he was like a robot with no home. It's only after meeting you that he started to feel a little more human. Lin Kai's eyes were bloodshot and glistening with moisture, but he clenched his jaw, refusing to let the tears fall. He held my hand, his voice pleading, Yao Yao, please listen to me and get treatment, okay? Let me stay by your side a little longer, please. I was speechless. Okay, I thought, maybe, just maybe, a miracle might happen. 31. After doing a lot of research, Lin Kai took me to a hospital renowned for its hematology department. He booked an appointment with a specialist and accompanied me into the consultation room. Age, 22. But in that moment, I tightened my grip on Lin Kai's hand, and a small, sentimental thought whispered in my heart. It was 2 years old. Because my new life truly began the day I met Lin Kai. Little by little, with stubborn recklessness and utter disregard for everything else, he dragged me out of the abyss. To me, Lin Kai is the very definition of salvation. But after tests at several hospitals, the results were all the same. It's terminal. There's no cure. The doctors only dare to say they can try to prolong my life. That day, Lin Kai nearly trashed the hospital. After I talked him down and he went outside. He squatted by the entrance and lit a cigarette. The cigarette hadn't even burned halfway down. He just started crying. He stubbed his cigarette out on the ground, one deliberate press after another. As heavy tears began to fall, he said, Yao Yao, how can I ever make you stay? 32. After all the twists and turns, Dr. Ju is my attending physician once again. He arranged for my hospitalization, formulated a treatment plan, and scheduled my chemotherapy. Lin Kai was by my side almost 24/7. He was such a rough and tumble guy, yet he handled my affairs with the utmost care. Even though I could still walk, he was always worried. He insisted on pushing me in a wheelchair, only letting me get out for a stroll once we reached the hospital courtyard. That morning, as Lin Kai was pushing me out to get some sun, we unexpectedly ran into an acquaintance in the hospital courtyard. It was the young pregnant woman who had patted my back in the restroom all that time ago. Several months had passed. Her belly was now prominently rounded, and she had filled out a bit. Her husband carefully supported her as they walked towards the hospital entrance. "Mind the steps," he said. They looked so happy. I sat in my wheelchair, watching her quietly. Just then, she glanced back, and her gaze settled directly on me. "Is that you?" She actually remembered me. She patted her husband's hand, signaling for him to help her walk towards me. "You," she glanced at my hospital gown. Then at the wheelchair beneath me. "What happened?" I smiled. "Just a minor health issue." Not wanting to dwell on the subject, I shifted my gaze to her belly. "You're due soon, right?" "Yeah." She instinctively placed a hand on her belly. "The due date is next month. I have a feeling it's a girl," mentioning the unborn child. Her face softened with tenderness. "She's so well behaved, hardly ever kicks." "That's wonderful." I waved to her. "You're here for your prenatal checkup, right?" "Go on ahead, I'll stay here and soak up some sun." She nodded. "Take care of yourself. Then, I hope you get well soon." "Thank you." Her husband helped her walk away, and as she turned, I heard her whisper to him, "That's the girl I met in the bar restroom last time. She's really cool and kind." I paused for a moment, then chuckled softly. Cool and kind. I never imagined I would one day receive such an evaluation. The weather is lovely today. The warm sunlight enveloped the little expectant mother and me. A distance of just a few meters cleaved open two diametrically opposed worlds. She is welcoming the arrival of a new life, while I am merely awaiting the final verdict of fate. Confined to a wheelchair, I can see the end of my life's road from here. 33. Summer is gradually coming to an end. Autumn is setting in. The leaves in the hospital courtyard have turned yellow and fallen, covering the grounds. I've lost so much more weight. Every time Lin Kai helps me change clothes, his eyes well up, and he can't even bring himself to look at me for too long. The only thing that lifted my spirits a little was hearing the news about the Fu family's bankruptcy, when he did everything he promised me that day. She really is a wonderful girl. She even came to visit me in the hospital. Even though we were rivals in love, she sat by my bedside for a while, barely said a word, yet her eyes grew red. She gently took my hand, her voice thick with emotion. "It'll be all right," she said. "I still remember the first time I saw you. Even though I knew Lin Kai liked you, I couldn't help but think, how could there be a girl in this world so beautiful?" Every smile and every frown carried its own charm. "Yet your eyes were so clear and pure." She didn't stay long, just gave my hand a gentle pat and said, "If you need anything, just ask. I have plenty of money." I smiled at her. "Okay." When he left, but not long after, while Lin Kai had gone downstairs to buy me a meal, Fu Zhon showed up. He'd been drinking. He stood in the doorway, eyes rimmed red, staring at me for a long time before finally, slowly, stepping inside. "Yao Yao." It was the first time he'd ever called me that. "Why? Why didn't you tell me you were sick?" I frowned. "Get out." He seemed not to hear. Walking straight to the bedside, he crouched down, his gaze slowly tracing over my face and body, his eyes terribly red. What a picture of deep affection. "You were already sick when you were with me, weren't you? Why didn't you tell me?" He reached out to take my hand. "I can treat you. You know, if you had told me sooner, I wouldn't have pushed you towards Lin Kai." I pulled my hand away and reached for the phone on the nightstand, but he still caught my wrist. Ju Yao, crouching by the bed, he put on a deeply affectionate look. "Marry me. Marry your mother. That's our boss's wife." A furious shout suddenly erupted from the doorway. It was a few of Lin Kai's underlings who had come to visit me with some fruit. They rushed forward, and one of them kicked Fu Zhon in the back. Fu Zhon was already crouching, and with that kick, he ended up kneeling right in front of me. Fu Zhon was no longer the young master of the Fu family he once was. The Fu family had collapsed and was now saddled with hundreds of millions in debt. Old Mr. Fu, unable to bear the shock, fell seriously ill and was hospitalized. And with a useless playboy heir like Fu Zhon at the helm, the Fu family had no hope of ever recovering. What on earth did he come to see me for? It's just that when people fall from a great height, they instinctively reach out for something, anything, to prove to themselves they still have something to hold on to. And that whole self-indulgent, tragic romantic act is his favorite routine. He never truly loved and he certainly never had any real feelings for me. He's just forever captivated by those he's lost, that's all. I watched quietly as Fujon was forced to kneel before me, then spoke in a flat tone. Worthless, Fujon, without your rich father. You really are a piece of trash, not even worth a dog. What makes you think you can compare to Lin Kai, 34? Fujon was dragged out into the corridor by Lin Kai's lackeys. Now, stripped of the Fu family's prestige and buried in debt, even Lin Kai's lackeys could beat him to a pulp without a second thought. The ward finally fell quiet. After all that commotion Fujon caused, I just felt utterly drained, with no energy left in my body. Outside the window, the sky was gloomy and overcast. With no sun in sight, a sudden premonition came over me. It seems I can't stay by Lin Kai's side any longer. What a shame. I've swallowed a lifetime of hardship and blood, all just to cling to a little more life. Yet, I still couldn't escape the fate of a short life. If I had known, I never would have gotten involved with Lin Kai, coming into his life only to leave so soon. I truly am sorry. They say a dying man's words are kind, but I find myself growing more and more petty. My whole life has been spent living in someone else's shadow, but when life truly reached its end, I found myself unwilling to let go. On that gloomy noon, with the sky as dark as dusk, I grabbed Lin Kai's wrist. I only managed that single word before the question died on my lips. I don't even know what I should ask. Was she pretty? Do I look like her? Did she not like you? What? Lin Kai sat by the bed, peeling an apple for me, but his mind was elsewhere. The peel kept breaking off and falling to the floor. I bit my lip and asked very softly, was she a good person? I think so. Any girl Lin Kai likes must be really special. Lin Kai froze for a moment. After a pause, he set the apple down, took my hand, and asked gently, with great patience, who? I saw the photo in your wallet. I looked at him, wanting to laugh, but ended up crying helplessly instead. Lin Kai, I look a lot like her, don't I? Am I just her shadow too? Slowly, I raised my hand, parted his collar, and gently traced the tattoo on his skin with my finger. Why would you get my name tattooed? You're such a fool. Lin Kai was stunned for a long moment before suddenly grabbing my hand. But I couldn't seem to wait for his answer. A sweet, metallic taste rose in my throat. I tried desperately to hold it back, but it surged up at that very moment. I was racked by a violent coughing fit. It felt as if I were trying to cough up my very insides. Finally, I vomited a mouthful of blood and slipped into unconsciousness. In my dazed state, I heard many voices, the sound of hurried footsteps, Lin Kai's desperate shout, "Doctor, doctor, save her," the choked, comforting words from his crew. It seems I could also hear Lin Kai's voice. It was you. The girl in the photo is you. It's always been you, Ju Yao. I've known you for far longer than you realize. Back then, I was cornered in an alley and beaten half to death by a group of people. You were the one who called the police and saved me. You even gave me a tiny band-aid that was too small to cover any of my wounds. After that, I started following you in secret. I took that photo of you without you knowing, and I only dared to capture your profile. But the year you turned 16, I suddenly couldn't find you anymore. You never went back to any of the old places. I waited every single day, but I never saw you again. Then, years later, I ran into you at that bar. You were dressed just like you used to be, but I could tell in an instant that you'd changed. I didn't think about anything else. My heart just ached for you. I didn't care why you had come to me. I thought I could finally protect you. I thought. His voice broke, choked with emotion. The last thing I heard was his muffled sobbing. I never told you any of this, because I've always hated myself for it. If only I had been braver back then. If only I hadn't just watched you from afar, but had taken the chance to truly know you. Then, when you were in danger, I could have rushed to your side to save you. I met you twice in this lifetime, and both times, I failed to save you. Something dripped onto my face. The heat was searing, piercing straight through to my soul. I want to tell him, Lin Kai, don't cry, you've already saved me. He made me realize I am worthy of love, that I'm not some flower rotting in the mud. I'm Ju Yao, Lin Kai's girlfriend. I deserve all the good things this world has to offer. A perfect match. The ultimate match. my consciousness began to fade. It was as if I was seeing the day I first met Lin Kai in my memory. In the dimly lit bar, he smashed a bottle over the head of the middle-aged man who was hitting on me. Then bent down and pulled me up from the floor. Those eyes gazed at me in silence, bottomless and profound, looking for someone. I gave a slow nod. Who? My boyfriend, not the one I hired to play the part. My boyfriend's name is Lin Kai, Lin, Gallop, end of text. Story 2. I met a young and enthusiastic girl while shopping in a luxury goods store. Sister, the bag you're carrying is the same as mine, but I don't know much about luxury bags. Could you add me on WeChat and give me some advice? I firmly refused. Instantly, her eyes filled with tears. I couldn't resist her pitiful look, so I had to agree. After adding her on WeChat, her top posted moment status was, "Men, when they're full at home, they can still eat a little outside, but if they're full outside, they can't eat anything when they get home." I shook my head and set her messages to do not disturb. However, at night, I found that she had sent me dozens of WeChat messages. Sister, do you think these bags of mine are genuine? And is this the latest style? I looked at the 24 bags she sent, and they were exactly the same as the ones in my bag cabinet. The latest style was the gift that Songyi had just given me for our 3rd wedding anniversary. Mine was definitely genuine, and hers seemed to be genuine too. Soon, her message popped up again. These were all given to me by my boyfriend. Do you think he loves me? My boyfriend said he gave a fake latest style bag to an older woman. What do you think she would feel? Hello. Everyone, welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. At this moment, I fell into deep thought while looking at Shenjing's messages. She was the girl I met by chance in the luxury goods store yesterday. She was about 20 years old and in her junior year at Jiang University. At that time, my best friend Chocho and I were choosing a gift for my 3rd wedding anniversary. It should have been my husband Songyi accompanying me. But he had a last-minute business trip, so he asked me to choose first by myself. I took a fancy to a New Year's limited edition bag from brand D, which cost less than 60,000 yuan. The salesperson was getting the item for me. That's when Shenjing came up. She let out an exclamation. And that's when I noticed her. She was less than 1.6 meters tall, with a petite figure. She had a high ponytail, a doll-like face, light makeup, and small high heels on her feet. She was a very fresh and literary girl. She smiled and looked at me intently with her big eyes. I was a bit puzzled and asked, "Is there anything I can help you with?" She naturally moved closer. "Sister, I just realized that the bag you're carrying is the same as mine, but I don't know much about luxury goods. Could you add me on WeChat and give me some advice?" It's very impolite for a stranger to suddenly come up and ask for someone's WeChat. I waved my hand. If you don't understand, search online, Zhihu, Baidu, Ziro Hongshu. And Douyin no more than I do. Her eyes instantly turned red, and her voice was choked with sobs. "Sister, I'm sorry, I was being presumptuous. I just wanted to ask you some professional knowledge. I'm really sorry." She was in a very humble position, with tears hanging in her eyes. She looked so pitiful and made people feel sorry for her. Perhaps I was being too sensitive. The little girl just wanted to learn some knowledge, and the bag she was carrying was indeed exactly the same as mine. It's worth mentioning that this niche bag wasn't very expensive in terms of price, but it was very difficult to buy. The one I had was ordered by Songyi after he traveled most of China. It could be considered fate that we had the same bag. I softened my heart and agreed. After adding her on WeChat, I glanced at her moments. The latest post was a status she sent yesterday. "Men, when they're full at home, they can still eat a little outside, but if they're full outside, they can't eat anything when they get home." After a long string of ellipses, there was a sentence. "Women are the same. Hehe, I really ate a lot today. I'm really talking about delicious food." Okay, those who thought wrongly should reflect on themselves. The accompanying picture was of the recently popular revolving restaurant. It costs 688 yuan per person. To be honest, when I saw the first 2 sentences she posted, I did feel a bit of contempt in my heart. But after seeing the later part and thinking that nowadays kids like to be abstract, as someone born in 1997, I might be a bit behind their rhythm. After all, we can't think the worst of people. But I also didn't want to talk to her too much, so I set her messages to do not disturb. After choosing the bag, I wanted to check out directly, but the salesperson looked embarrassed. "Ms. Su, currently, The only bag in the store is the sample you tried on. It will take a transfer from the headquarters. And it will arrive tomorrow evening. Is that okay? I nodded. Song-yi would be back tomorrow evening. It would be just right for him to come and buy it directly. Anyway, it was a gift for our 3rd wedding anniversary from him. And now, Song-yi's message arrived as expected. Honey, I've got the bag. I'll be back in half an hour. Below his WeChat message was Shinjing's. Even though I had set it to do not disturb, I could still clearly see the latest message. Sister. Do you think these bags of mine are genuine? Driven by curiosity, I still clicked on the chat box. There were a total of 24 bags in the chat box. There was a canvas bag that cost only 69 yuan. I also had one in my bag cabinet. That was a commemorative gift from Song-yi when we were in college. At that time, Song-yi was penniless. We were very poor back then. We had come from a small town to Shanghai, and our tuition fees were all paid through student loans. Our living expenses depended entirely on working part-time as tutors. That 69 yuan canvas bag was a co-branded item. It was very popular on campus at that time. I liked it very much, but I didn't think it was worth 69 yuan. After Song-yi knew that, he secretly bought it for me. At that time, the part-time tutoring job paid 15 yuan per hour. Our meal cost only 3 yuan each time. That canvas bag was a luxury item he gave me. I continued to look through the photos sent by Shinjing. There was a small CK bag that cost more than 500 yuan, which was a birthday gift from Song-yi after he graduated. There was also a classic Dior bag that cost tens of thousands of yuan, which was a wedding gift. A bag worth over 100,000 yuan was a gift for when I was pregnant. A bag worth over 200,000 yuan was compensation for a miscarriage. Each of these bags held great significance for me, but the value of all these bags was far less than that simple canvas bag. Now, looking at these photos, no matter how stupid I was, I could guess what it meant. My body couldn't stop shaking, my nails dug into my palm, and the clear pain barely kept me calm. Sister, these should all be genuine, right? I believe in my boyfriend, and this one. Do you think it's the genuine latest style? New messages popped up one after another. The latest photo was the bag I had taken a fancy to yesterday morning. Hers was genuine. These were all given to me by my boyfriend. Do you think he loves me? My boyfriend said he gave a fake latest style bag to an older woman. What do you think she would feel? Come on, if you ask me, how could that older woman be worthy of the latest style bag? Of course, new people should match new bags, don't you think so? Sister, facing her provocation, I just felt my hands and feet turn cold. The blood in my body had already seemed to freeze. Song-yi and I had been together from our school days to our wedding. We had been in love for 4 years and married for 3 years. We started from scratch together and built our company to the point where it was about to go public. In the company, I was his right-hand man and could handle many situations on my own. At home, I was his gentle haven. Before he went on a business trip yesterday, he even nestled in my arms and acted coquettishly. Chunzi, I definitely couldn't have made it to where I am today without you. I love you the most in my life. It turned out that I was just the one he loved the most. Besides the one he loved the most, there were also those he loved less, those he loved in an ordinary way. Tears dripped onto my phone. The voice of the nanny, Aunt Wang, came from outside the door. Sir is back, in a short 10 seconds. I had thought of all the coping strategies. If Song-yi had really cheated, I would definitely make him fall into an abyss from which he couldn't climb out. I dried the tears on my face and touched up my makeup briefly. I put on a gentle smile and walked out of the bedroom. Song-yi rushed up and picked me up in his arms, spinning me around 3 times. Honey, I missed you so much. Really? I looked at him with a probing gaze. Why are your eyes red? Your voice is also a bit hoarse. Did you cry because you missed me? His tenderness and humor were just as they used to be. I took a deep breath and resumed my usual tone. I was just looking at the photos before we got married and accidentally got emotional and cried. He affectionately stroked my head. You're still so sentimental. I used to enjoy this gesture and thought it was the transmission of love between us, but now I felt extremely disgusted by it. I subtly dodged and sat at the dining table. It's getting late. Let's have dinner together. Today was our 3rd wedding anniversary. Aunt Wang had cooked a table full of Sichuan dishes. Both Song-yi and I loved spicy food. However, today he sat at the dining table and didn't pick up his chopsticks for a long time. What's wrong? Are you full from eating outside? I asked. He rubbed his nose and said calmly, I can't hide it from you. Honey, after today's meeting, Mr. Zhao insisted that I have a meal with him. I said I had a date with you today. But he said to eat less so I could still eat when I got home. But you know Mr. Zhao's personality. In the end, I ate too much and felt stuffed. I had Mr. Zhao's wife's WeChat. Soon, I sent a message, but the reply I got was exactly the same as what Songyi had said. My mind was in a state of high tension. Suspicion and trust were in a fierce battle, tearing me apart. I picked up a spicy shrimp and put it on his plate. Eat one. You know Aunt Wang's cooking, you used to love it the most. He put on disposable gloves and skillfully peeled the shrimp shell with his slender fingers. Then the shrimp was neatly placed on my plate. I mechanically took a couple of bites, but it tasted like wax. However, the moment I swallowed it, I felt my stomach churning. I rushed into the bathroom and vomited. Songyi handed me water to rinse my mouth and patted my back gently, looking worried. Honey, could it be that you're... I instinctively denied it. No, I'm not feeling well in my stomach today. I've already seen a doctor. Before I figured out the truth, I wouldn't let us have a child. When I got back to the dining table, Aunt Wang had already served the stomach-warming porridge. I took a few sips hastily. This dinner to celebrate our 3rd wedding anniversary came to an end. Songyi pushed the bag in front of me. Honey, happy 3rd wedding anniversary. Along with it was a bouquet of gardenias, my favorite flowers. I should have been happy. But the scenes in front of me now were surprisingly consistent with Shenjing's words. I opened the gift box with trembling hands and took out the bag. I examined it over and over again. It was genuine. I let out a long sigh of relief. Perhaps the boyfriend Shenjing mentioned wasn't Songyi. Soon, her message came again. Sister, why haven't you replied? Have you gone to check on your husband? You don't believe him, do you? I know you don't believe me either. But I also received gardenias today. They're very beautiful. Sister, your taste is really good. I like all the things you like. In the photo, the white gardenias were glistening with water droplets. The elegant lace bow was exactly the same as the bouquet I had. Shenjing's messages started to bombard me continuously. Sister, I know you trust your husband more, although I've only known my boyfriend for 10 months, which is not as long as the 10 years you've known each other. But my boyfriend told me that we're soulmates. It's really funny. I actually forgot what's the meaning of soulmate. I had to look it up and found out it means soul partner. As for what a soul partner means, sister, you know, right, my mental state was gradually on the verge of collapse. My mind tended to believe Songyi because we had known each other for 10 years. We came from the same small town and knew each other inside out. But Shenjing's words were like needles, densely piercing into my heart. Honey, what are you looking at? You seem so absorbed. Perhaps seeing me looking at my phone. Songyi leaned over. His hair was still dripping with water after he just took a shower. His sticky voice tickled the nerves in my ears, making me even more tense. Songyi, are you hiding something from me? Songyi was stunned for a moment. Then he glanced at my phone placed on the bed. He exploded in anger. That crazy Shenjing. Right, damn it, she actually bullied you. Fortunately, I had a backup plan. He called his assistant, Kai. Kai had been with him for 3 years and was very meticulous in his work. Soon, I received a video and a voice message on my phone. MS, Sue, Mr. Song and I came back from a business trip today and were tricked by the intern Shenjing to her apartment. She threatened to commit suicide and forced Mr. Song to stay for dinner. Mr. Song pretended to cooperate and eat to calm her down. Later, we called the police, and I recorded the whole process. The video was half an hour long. Songyi explained to me one by one while looking at the video. That Shenjing is an intern recruited by the design department last year. She has been working for almost a year. I didn't have any interaction with her originally, but 3 months ago, I urgently needed a promotional poster. The design department was too busy, so the design director assigned this extremely simple task to Shenjing. But Shenjing did a really bad job. To save time, I had to teach her to revise it step by step. This was our only interaction. Then today, she suddenly called and said there was a thief in her house. Considering the protection of employees, I went to check with Kai and called the police at the same time. When we got to her place, she had cooked a table full of food and said it was a misunderstanding and insisted that I stay for dinner, thinking that we couldn't make a false police report. Kai cancelled the call to the police. We were about to leave when unexpectedly, she picked up a knife and cut her hand. She also said that the food was specially cooked for me and that I had to eat it. In that situation, I could only pick up the porridge on the table and drink it frantically to try to appease her. And then Jong Kai found an opportunity to call the police. Finally, we managed to get away. After she was educated by the police, the matter ended. He let out a long sigh. The company really had the worst luck to recruit such a crazy person. I pointed at the bags in the chat record. What's going on with these? Song Yi frowned and opened his phone, then handed it to me. Take a look. What came into view was the chat record between him and Shenjing. The time was last Friday night. Shenjing, Mr. Song, do you have any bag recommendations? The company's annual meeting is coming up soon. I want to buy a bag to look good at the event, but I don't know much about it. Could you please teach me? Song Yi, I don't know. Search online. Don't send me messages privately except for work-related matters. Shenjing, I'm sorry, Mr. Song. I was being presumptuous. I'm from the countryside and haven't seen much of the world. I'm really sorry. The long message of apology occupied more than half of the screen. Song Yi, who was standing beside me, explained. After reading her apology message, my head was in a daze. I thought maybe I had spoken too harshly, and perhaps she really just wanted to ask me for bag recommendations. So later, I sent her the photos of your bag cabinet and told her to choose and buy according to that. As for the bags she sent you, I don't know if they are really hers. They might be generated by AI. Or maybe she stole the pictures from the internet. And regarding today's bag and gardenias, I really have no idea what's going on. She might have been following me. Song Yi looked sincere. All the details matched up. I couldn't find any flaws. And I had also been deceived by Shenjing's pitiful appearance before. Song Yi was inherently kind-hearted. These things could be reasonably explained. Then fire her, I replied. Okay. As he spoke, he nestled against my neck. Honey, is the crisis resolved? Should you compensate me a little? I pushed him away, then touched my stomach and said coquettishly, I'm not feeling well today. His eyes lit up instantly. Could it be that we're going to have a baby? I took out the prepared gift box from the bedside cabinet. It was a pregnancy test stick with 2 lines. If it hadn't been for Shenjing's sudden interference, the surprise would almost have turned into a shock. Song Yi hugged me and gently placed his palm on my abdomen. Just thinking about it makes me scared. If there were some inexplicable problems between us because of that Shenjing, I would hate her to death. No, I'll ask the HR department to fire her tomorrow. I smoothed his furrowed brows with my fingers. Okay, don't get entangled with such a person. He put his arms around my waist. Honey, since you're pregnant, let me take care of the matters of the branch company. I don't want you to be too tired. I shook my head. I'm not that delicate. Everything can go on as usual. I thought that Shenjing was just an episode in our ordinary life, and there wouldn't be any more interactions between her and me. Unexpectedly, a month later, I ran into Shenjing again in the coffee shop at the entrance of our company. Our company, Song Yi's and mine, just expanded its scale this year. I was in charge of the branch company in the suburbs. Song Yi handled all the business of the head office, and I came here occasionally, unexpectedly. Today I met Shenjing, who should have been fired for a month. It seemed that she had been waiting for me on purpose. She picked up a cup of coffee and sat opposite me. Sister, guess why I haven't left the company yet? She asked the question that was also in my mind. Shenjing, what are you doing? Song Yi's angry shout interrupted our conversation, and Shenjing's eyes quickly turned red. Big tears fell into the coffee, ruining the originally perfect latte art. Song Yi stood in front of me to protect me. Shenjing, if you have any grievances, come at me. He seemed very afraid that Shenjing would do something to me. But Shenjing suddenly splashed the coffee on herself and said with a choked voice, Mr. Song, I won't hurt anyone. I will only hurt myself. Then she walked away on her high heels. I was stunned and confused, unable to recover for a while. Shenjing was really crazy. After she left, Song Yi examined me carefully. Honey, are you okay? I shook my head. Why haven't you fired her? His hand that was helping me tidy my clothes paused for a moment. Ah, that little girl is quite pitiful. If she loses this job, she will be forced by her parents to marry an old bachelor. She managed to get out of the mountains with great difficulty. If I fire her, wouldn't I be pushing her to the brink of death? I rubbed my temples. Song Yi, I understand her situation because we both came out of the mountains step by step. We can help people who are in the same difficult situation as us. But the prerequisite is that they have normal values. She has provoked me again and again. Do you think she is a normal person? Kindness without boundaries will eventually lead to bad consequences. Song-yi frowned even more tightly, and his tone suddenly rose a few notches. She just wants a chance to live. Don't you think such vitality is precious? Su Cheng, why didn't I realize you were so cold-blooded before? I seemed not to recognize the person in front of me. I looked straight into his eyes, trying to figure out what he was thinking at this moment. Why was he so fierce towards Shinjing at first, but then spoke up for her after she left? His behavior was very strange. Song-yi seemed to realize that he had said something wrong and quickly changed his words. Chunzi, that's not what I meant. I mean, she's not in a right state of mind, and you shouldn't have provoked her. But from the beginning to the end, I had never approached Shinjing once, nor had I replied to any of her messages. Was I provoking her? Since when did Song-yi's values change because of Shinjing? He couldn't even distinguish right from wrong anymore. Disappointment accumulated little by little in my heart. This meeting, which was originally supposed to discuss the development direction of the branch company, ended unhappily because of Shinjing's sudden appearance. I told my best friend Chocho about this matter. Chocho was so angry that she cursed Song-yi 300 times. After calming down, she said to me, Su Cheng, I once met a kind of despicable man. When he meets a girl who is in the same difficult situation as his lover, he will make up for the debts he once owed to his lover on this girl. I smiled bitterly. But I'm not dead yet, am I? Why can't he make up for me directly? Chocho gently hugged me. This is the excuse for a scumbag to cheat. He wraps his infidelity in a grand and justifiable way. But I don't have any evidence. Will I be misunderstanding him? I still didn't give up and asked a silly question. Chocho replied to me gently. Chunzi, I know it's hard for you to accept this fact now, just like I was in the past. Now just ask yourself. Can you accept Song-yi's behavior? If you can, this marriage can still continue. If you can't accept it, then seize all the resources and give him a surprise he won't expect. I thought for a long time, and tears fell silently. I suddenly remembered a question I saw on Jihu when I was 20 years old. Which is more disgusting, physical infidelity or emotional infidelity? At that time, I answered with indignation. Is there a difference between dark green and light green when it comes to the cuckold? To put it bluntly, it's all like eating shit. You ask me which is more disgusting, then let me ask you, is it more disgusting to pick it up and eat it with your hand directly or to put it on a plate and eat it? If you can ask such a question, it means you really love that person. Just be together. And I respect and wish you well, after many years. When I had more experience and was in the same situation as the person who asked the question, this answer formed a cycle. The bullet I shot casually when I couldn't tolerate even a grain of sand in my eyes 7 years ago passed through my long love affair with Song-yi and hit me right in the center of my forehead now. I stayed at Chocho's place for one night. The next day, I went to work at the branch company as usual. After work, I made an appointment with a top female lawyer in Shanghai. When I got home, it was already 11 p.m. Song-yi was sitting upright on the sofa, as if he had been waiting for me for a long time. There was a box of Holloland cake on the table. There was a lot of mango on it. He put his arms around my waist. Honey, I was wrong yesterday. I apologize to you. Please don't be angry with me, okay? The baby will also be unhappy if it knows that mom is angry. I stared at the mango on the box. Song-yi, I'm allergic to mangoes, and you know that. A trace of panic flashed across his flattering face. I'm sorry, honey. This was the last piece of cake left today. I was in such a hurry that I forgot about it. He directly threw the cake into the trash can. I'll buy you a new one tomorrow. At the same time, I received a private message on my Weibo. Sister, do you like the mango cake I picked? The accompanying picture was of 2 hands intertwined. One of the hands was wearing our wedding ring. I took a deep breath and replied firmly. It's delicious. Then I took her WeChat out of the blacklist. I investigated Shinjing. She was Song-yi's direct junior schoolmate. She was exactly 8 years younger than him. She was just 20 years old this year. Their first encounter was at a campus promotion meeting in Jiang University. As a well-known alumnus and a recruiting enterprise, Song-yi was invited by the college teacher to give a special lecture. At that time, I was busy with the preparation for the opening of the branch company and didn't go to the scene. During the whole lecture, Shinjing kept asking questions. After it ended, she chased after him and asked, Senior Song, can I intern in your company? Song-yi replied firmly, of course you can. After a moment, he added, if the company has a demand for recruiting interns. Shunjing's face turned red immediately. There was an inexplicable scream and cheer throughout the venue. After that, Shunjing successfully passed the company's recruitment and became an intern in the design department. I suddenly remembered that during that period, Song-yi said to me, the new intern in the design department is very hardworking. Just like you were back then. I didn't pay much attention at that time. That's good. Maybe she can stay in the company after graduation. Now that I think about it, perhaps at that time, he had already developed different feelings for her. Shunjing's original family situation was indeed very tragic. She was the second child in the family. She had an eldest sister who was doted on, and a younger brother who was regarded as the apple of the whole family's eye. After the college entrance examination, she was forced by her parents to get married. Finally, she escaped and managed to go to university by herself. It was originally a very inspiring story, so inspiring that it started just like my story. Song-yi and I were high school classmates. In the first year of senior high school, not long after I registered, my mother dragged me towards the school gate in front of all the teachers and students of the school. She had received a betrothal gift of 30,000 yuan and forced me to go back and get married. Fortunately, the police station was opposite the school, and I desperately called for help. The policeman stopped her, gave her legal education, and my mother had to leave embarrassedly. I turned around, and there were all kinds of whispers from my classmates around me. At the age of 16, my dignity was trampled on the ground by my own mother and blown away by the September wind. I felt a sharp pain in my knees, and then I noticed that during the dragging, my pants had already been worn through in several places. Blood stained the blue jeans, leaving dark patches like black holes. I was being stared at by countless eyes like that. It was midsummer, but I broke out in a cold sweat. I usually kept to myself and had no friends. I could only try my best to shrink into the corner to reduce my presence. It was at that time that Song-yi took off his large school uniform and tied it around my waist like a gentleman. Classmate Sue, you have to work hard. Let's get out of this mountain together and move towards our own future. My original name was Su Pandai. He didn't call me by my full name. He gave a little bit of dignity to the sensitive and self-abased 16-year-old me. People who lack love always cherish the hard-won kindness especially. After that day, we became good friends. He was the top student in the grade. I was the second in the grade. Later, I learned that Song-yi's parents had divorced a long time ago. They each formed new families. They left him to live with his elderly grandfather. We were like two abandoned hedgehogs, growing hard armor under the heavy blows of reality, but we accompanied each other and huddled together for warmth. After the college entrance examination, he asked me, classmate Sue, do you want to continue huddling together for warmth until we can become family? His confession was very novel. It was the first time I heard someone confess with the reason of huddling together for warmth, but the word family really attracted me. Both Song-yi and I longed to have a home. A warm home without calculation, quarrel, abuse, or violence. So, we got together. We went to university in Shanghai together. He majored in computer science, which had a promising future. I majored in finance. In our junior year, seizing the opportunity of the internet boom, he and his roommate developed a game together. It was a very simple stress-relieving game, but it became very popular after its release. They established a company, and I was the company's accountant. Now, 4 years have passed. Song-yi and I have already been married and are about to welcome our child. The company is about to go public. We are no longer the helpless teenagers who were abandoned at the age of 16 or 17. However, at the age of 28, when we have everything, the man who once asked me, do you want to become family, has started to have wandering thoughts. I picked up the small cake from the trash can. I held the mashed cream in front of Song-yi's mouth. I can't eat it, but you can. He frowned and was reluctant to open his mouth for a long time. I knew that he thought it was dirty, but whose fault was it? He had destroyed all of this with his own hands. After a moment of stalemate, he asked, Su Cheng, if I eat it, will you forgive me? I let out an ham. He opened his mouth stiffly and swallowed it with effort. Watching him finish the whole cake, I smiled and said, you don't need to buy a new one tomorrow. He immediately wrapped his arms around my waist and kept calling me honey. I suppressed the nausea in my heart and maintained a calm appearance on the surface. I accepted Song Yi's olive branch, but this didn't mean that I forgave him. We have known each other for 10 years and been in love for 7 years. Now we are like intertwined vines. To separate completely, we would have to pay the price of cutting off our bones and gouging out our flesh. I need time to let go. I also need time to take everything away from him. I went for a prenatal checkup as usual. Song Yi accompanied me every time, but our relationship became delicate. He protected Shunjing in his actions, but he tried to distance himself from her in his thoughts. For example, Shunjing was indeed fired, but he arranged a new job for her. She is the store manager of a cake shop. This cake shop was opened with Song Yi's investment. His favoritism towards her has reached the point of being blatant, but surprisingly, Song Yi took the initiative to report this matter to me. Chunzi, I fired Shunjing, but seeing how pitiful she was, I arranged for her to work as a waiter in the bakery under our company. You are so kind-hearted and understanding. You won't mind, will you? He lifted me up high, testing me again and again. Is she really just a waiter? Seeing my suspicion, he immediately raised his hand and swore, she's really just a waiter. I really just felt sorry for her and regarded her as my little sister and gave her a hand. I continued to ask, as a little sister, do you really not know how she feels about you? Song Yi tugged at his tie and coughed lightly, as if suppressing his emotions. Su Cheng, have you noticed that every time Shunjing's matter is mentioned, you're like a powder keg? You're also a graduate from a prestigious university and have received higher education. Naturally, you know that liking someone is one's own business. Who she likes is her freedom. We can't deprive her of the freedom to like others just because she likes me, right? Moreover, she's still young and her mind is not mature. She just blindly admires and respects me. When she meets the man she really likes, she'll realize that what she feels for me is just admiration. I sneered. Admiration? What a disgusting word. Seeing that I didn't say anything, he asked me in return, Su Cheng, have you ever admired me? Never, right? The so-called admiration means putting the other person in a lofty position. But Song Yi and I have always been evenly matched. I have never obeyed or relied on him, because I know that we only have each other. If one of us collapses, the other will soon follow, so I rarely show my vulnerable side in front of him. Now, he has started to look for things in others that I don't have. His rhetorical question seemed to shatter the time that had trapped me all at once. We have finally gone from being deeply in love in our youth to being tired of each other. After the prenatal checkup, Song Yi left me on the road and drove back to the company without looking back. I can guess the reason for his change in attitude. It's because I'm pregnant. He thinks that I will tolerate his repeated tests because of the child, so from the beginning, he showed me evidence to prove his innocence. To now, he blatantly takes Shunjing's side and blames me. He thinks that I'm kind-hearted and indecisive, but he doesn't know that once I break free from the shackles of love, I'm more decisive than him. 10 minutes later, Chocho found me. She asked cautiously, what about this child? In fact, I had planned to have an abortion many times, but every time, I would feel an inexplicable reluctance, and then I would be consumed by great guilt. It's as if I'm controlled by the embryo in my stomach. But I know that this child can't be kept. I shook my head. I won't keep it, but they have to pay a price for it. I opened Weibo and replied to Shunjing's private message, Sister, I know that your youth is your capital, but our child is already 4 months old, and the brother you mentioned is the father of my child. Then I contacted Zhong Wei, the company's partner and vice president. Have you ever thought about becoming the president? Then Chocho drove me to Shunjing's cake shop. As soon as I entered the shop, Shunjing entered a combat state. She raised her proud head and looked at me with her chin. The one who isn't loved is the mistress. Do you think brother loves you more or me more now? I touched my stomach and said to Chocho, I'm a bit hungry. Help me pick a bread, a sugar-free one. Chocho hesitated. I patted her hand to signal her not to worry. After Chocho walked away, Shunjing immediately approached me. Don't think you can tie brother down with the child. I'll have one sooner or later too. I leaned close to her ear and said without showing any emotion, as long as the child in my stomach is here, your brother will always be my husband and the father of our child, and you will always be the mistress who can't see the light, the mouse in the gutter, the stinking dead cockroach. Her face became more and more distorted. Finally, she pushed me fiercely. Go to hell. I fell heavily to the ground. Not long after, a bright red flower of blood bloomed around me. Su Cheng. Running towards me together with Chocho was also Song Yi. In a trance, I seemed to see Song Yi at the age of 18 running towards me. He asked, "Su Cheng, would you like to become my family?" Now, Su Cheng at the age of 28 replied, "No." When I woke up in the hospital, my abdomen had already become flat again. Song Yi was sitting in front of the hospital bed, his eyes bloodshot. "Honey, I really want to kill that Shenjing. She's a crazy woman. I told you she was not in her right mind. And you shouldn't have gone to the cake shop to provoke her. Never mind, we will have another child." His 3 sentences were like a performance. The first sentence portrayed the pain of a father who had lost his child. The second sentence portrayed an incompetent husband who shifted the blame onto his wife. The third sentence made me can't help but laugh. "Song Yi, what makes you think that we will have another child?" But as I laughed, tears fell from my eyes. "Song Yi, I'm afraid you've forgotten how many children this is for us." He was stunned for a moment, and then he choked with sobs. "I haven't forgotten. This is our 3rd child. Yes, Song Yi and I had 2 children before. The first child was soon after we got married, when the company was just starting up. We didn't have the support of our parents on either side, and we didn't have much capital, so we couldn't afford to have that child. At that time, Song Yi knelt in front of me and swore, "Su Cheng, wait a little longer for me. I will definitely give you and the child a happy life." 2 years later, everything was on the right track. I also got pregnant smoothly. However, on the road, in order to avenge the competitor who had snatched the project, he raced wildly with the other party. I was sitting in the passenger seat at that time. In the end, he won, but because of the excessive speed, my body was thrown out several times and hit the car frame. The child was gone without a sound. At that time, he cried and knelt in front of me, saying sorry while slapping himself in the face. And I not only had to endure the physical and mental torture brought by the abortion but also had to comfort him who was in an unstable emotional state. At that time, with love, I felt satisfied even with just water. I didn't feel wronged at all. However, just 1 year has passed, and I have already seen many times how he looks when he doesn't love me, and our 3rd child has officially put an end to our marriage. This is his retribution, but it is my salvation. I should be glad that when I finally saw him clearly, there were no children to suffer the hardships we created. I only hope that when they return to heaven, they can find parents who truly love their children. After a long silence, the door of the ward was suddenly knocked. It was Chocho and Lawyer Zhao. Lawyer Zhao handed me an agreement. I took a look at it and then handed it to Song Yi. "Let's get a divorce." He looked at me in disbelief. "Su Cheng, are you crazy? The company is about to go public, and you're bringing up divorce now. I am one of the partners of the company, holding only 10% of the shares. Besides me, there are 3 other partners. Song Yi, the president, holds 35% of the shares. Zhong Wei, the vice president, holds 30% of the shares. Cheng Shi, the vice president, holds 25% of the shares. Now that I want to divorce him, he will definitely feel a sense of crisis." Seeing my firm attitude, he softened his tone. "Chenzi, we have been in love for 10 years. It's not that easy to separate. If you're throwing a tantrum because of Shenjing, I can swear to heaven that I have never crossed the line with her. We really just call each other brother and sister. I helped her a few times because I felt sorry for her. If you don't believe me, I'll ask her to resign from the bakery right away." I shook my head. Men will indeed give up on anyone when it comes to interests. By the way, I forgot to tell you that Shenjing has been detained on suspicion of intentional injury. If you want to bail her out, you'd better hurry up. I looked straight into Song Yi's eyes, observing the wonderful changes in his expression. His brows furrowed tighter and tighter. "Su Cheng, why do you keep targeting her? She's just a child. Can't you let her go?" I was so angry that I laughed. "Targeting her? Song Yi, I'm afraid you've forgotten who killed our child. It was just an embryo that hadn't been born yet." After saying this, Song Yi himself was stunned. I slapped him hard and pushed the divorce agreement in front of him. "Song Yi, sign it." His reason gradually returned. After carefully reading the agreement, he asked me, "Su Cheng, I don't want a divorce." I took off the wedding ring on my hand and twirled it in my palm. "Give me an additional 5% of the shares." His fist gradually clenched. "Impossible." I knew what he was worried about. No matter whether I give my shares to Zhong Wei or Cheng Shi, Song Yi's position as president will be shaken. "Song Yi, I can only give you 1%, me, 4%, Song Yi, 2%. Me, 3%. After a round of bargaining, he agreed to give me 2.5% of the shares and all the property during our marriage. I took back the divorce agreement and promised not to pursue Shinjing's liability anymore. I then handed him the share transfer agreement. He looked at me in disbelief. Su Cheng. Since when did you learn to scheme? I continued to rub the wedding ring. When you and Shinjing joined hands to play me for a fool, why didn't you say you were scheming? After signing the agreement, he left in a huff. I packaged all the materials about Shinjing's infidelity and sent them to Vice President Zhong Wei. Mr. Zhong, the rest is up to you. I wish you to become the president soon. Zhong Wei replied, happy cooperation. However, I turned around and found Cheng Shi. Cheng Shi is a technology enthusiast in the company. She has led the development of many software in the company, but Song Yi and Zhong Wei have been on guard against her everywhere. They are afraid of Cheng Shi and afraid that she will gain the initiative. So, although she is also a partner, she has contributed the most but received the least shares. She looked at me in surprise. Su Cheng, you and Song Yi are husband and wife. Why did you think of cooperating with me? I smiled and said, we won't be soon. She still didn't believe me. I took out a document. In fact, the demo of the first small game developed by the company was made by you, right? Cheng Shi was taken aback. I continued, Song Yi and Zhong Wei took your source code and just added some finishing touches to complete it. And you, because you didn't have the capital, had to reluctantly give up your rights and were forced to partner with them, right? Their ability to develop software is far inferior to yours. Even to say, the company is mainly supported by you. Don't you want to take back everything that belongs to you? Cheng Shi closed her eyes and let out a long sigh. I do, but I don't have the resources or the connections. I patted her on the shoulder. I do. A moment later, we held our right hands tightly and said in unison, happy cooperation. Half a month later, Zhong Wei started to cause trouble in the company. The news of Song Yi's infidelity spread in the company, and even some business partners put off cooperation because of it. The factions of Zhong Wei and Song Yi were in a fierce dispute. Many large orders were lost during their fight. Cheng Shi and I mediated in the middle to reduce the losses. Finally, with 37.5% of the shares, Cheng Shi became the largest shareholder of the company. She firmly took the seat in the president's office. After that, Cheng Shi and Zhong Wei cooperated to kick Shinjing out, and I received 80 million yuan from transferring my shares. There are no eternal enemies, only eternal interests. The awakened Song Yi looked at me in disbelief. Su Cheng, since when did you get involved with her? I'm your husband. We are family. In fact, Shinjing was most afraid that I would side with Zhong Wei. He never took Cheng Shi seriously. He took all kinds of precautions against Zhong Wei, but he didn't expect that I would play a trick on him. I sneered. Family, Song Yi, don't insult the word family. Don't think I don't know that you bailed Shinjing out and hid her in the villa in the suburbs. Now, I'll let you go. Let's see if she will still love you when you have nothing. Song Yi's hands hung down on his sides. Su Cheng, did you really love me? You're always calm and composed. And being with me was also the result of weighing the pros and cons. So, did you really love me? I answered seriously, and I was also answering Song Yi at the age of 18. I did. I loved you very much. In my eyes, love has always been a balance of power, being evenly matched. You are good, and I'm not bad either. Together, we would be even better. I cherished your efforts and would definitely give back to you doubly. That's why when you chose to start a business, I stood behind you without hesitation. When we achieved success and fame, I could choose to give up my rights and pave the way for you. All of this was based on love. But what about you, Song Yi? You longed for the admiration and adoration of your significant other. You wanted to turn me into a dodder flower that could only rely on you. Perhaps you didn't like Shinjing at first, but when you found out that she could be your dodder flower, you couldn't help but waver, right? No. There was panic in Song Yi's eyes. Su Cheng, I just used Shinjing to make you feel a sense of crisis. I sneered. Stop pretending. Song Yi, you acted so affectionately that you even believed it yourself. Actually, you knew I was pregnant a long time ago, right? Shinjing was an accident. You wanted to use her to force me to give in and then make me willingly give up the shares in my hand and be your dodder flower. Unfortunately, I'm not a dodder flower, and I will never become one. Exposed by me, Song Yi completely collapsed on the ground and murmured, it's not like that. I stood up and turned my back to him. Either we get a divorce directly, or we go through a lawsuit. I don't mind going to court. After 10 years of being in love, don't make me hate you. A month later, Song Yi and I successfully got the divorce certificate. The moment I walked out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, I blocked all of Song Yi's contact information. He said solemnly, "Do you really have to be so heartless?" I put on a distant smile and said, "I've never liked relationships that are wishy-washy. Since you chose Shenjing, then I wish you too. Never have a peaceful day." In the distance, Cheng Shi, who had been waiting for a long time, gave me a bouquet of sunflowers and said, "Happy divorce." Also, "Chenzi, are you really not considering continuing to be my accountant?" I shook my head and said, "Your company is too small to accommodate someone like me. I'm going to become an MD in a Wall Street investment bank in the future." Cheng Shi hugged me and said, "Then I'll be waiting for your good news." I patted her on the shoulder and said, "When will you completely take control of the company? I'll personally help you attract investments." Cheng Shi said, "Just wait for my good news." After we parted, I went to Jiang University and found the school principal. I had promised Song Yi that I wouldn't pursue Shenjing's liability. But they have no morals, so why should I be required to have morals? As a well-known alumnus and having been the president of the student union when I was at school, most of the teachers in the school knew me. The principal thought I was there for recruitment matters and politely invited me to the reception room. I sent the evidence of Shenjing's and Song Yi's infidelity to the principal. The principal looked serious and said, "Student Su Cheng, we will definitely give you justice." Then, I continued to visit Shenjing's homeroom teacher, counselor. I also visited her parents and the director of the community in her hometown. I made complaints again and again. I submitted the evidence again and again. Some people may ask, is this malicious dissemination? Will it be illegal? I just showed the evidence to those who questioned me. If they ask for proof and I provide it, how can it be considered dissemination? Finally, I posted a video on all my social media platforms about my 10-year love affair with Song Yi and the reasons for its hasty end. Soon, someone dug out the identity information of the two of them. A flood of abuse came their way. This is what they deserve. A month later, I boarded a plane bound for the United States. Once, I was the top student in the finance department. My dream was to become an MD in a Wall Street investment bank. Later, because of love, I put my dream on hold and worked as an unremarkable accountant in a technology company. Now, it's not too late to reignite my dream. I applied for a Ph.D. in finance at Yale University. Looking at the clouds rolling and unfolding outside the plane window, I let out a long sigh of relief. I admit that I can be in love. I'm also never afraid of being betrayed. As long as you make yourself strong, the whole world will willingly become your vassal. Su Cheng, from this moment on, live for yourself to the fullest. Epilogue. From Song Yi's perspective, I love Su Cheng very much, but I feel that her love doesn't match mine. She can change light bulbs, fix toilets, and even change tires by herself. She never relies on me. She can analyze the future development direction of the company with me rationally and point out the mistakes in my decisions. She never admires me. This makes me very unhappy. My friends told me, behind every successful man is a girl who idolizes him. She will blindly praise him, admire him, and compliment him. But Su Cheng would never do that. She did the opposite and took a share of the company I founded. Even more and more people supported her. Some people said, in terms of management ability, Su Cheng is no less than Song Yi. Some people even told me that Su Cheng could completely run the branch company independently. I don't want such a lover. I just want an obedient Dodder flower. When I get home, she can praise me in all sorts of ways. So, I got Su Cheng pregnant. Shenjing was completely an accident. I never thought of cheating. It's just that her admiration for me came like a tide. I hate such materialistic girls. I also disdain to sync with her. So when she invited me to her home, I left evidence. Unexpectedly, Su Cheng, who was always calm, was not calm because of Shenjing. She suspected that I was cheating. Her voice trembled when she questioned me. I knew she couldn't leave me, and Shenjing was just the sharp weapon for me to discipline her. So, I deliberately didn't fire Shenjing. She just sulked when she found out. Then I still gave her a mango cake even though I knew she was allergic to mangoes. She still chose to forgive me. She accepted my repeated tests. Then, I left her after her prenatal checkup. The child was already more than 4 months old. What else could she do? And Shenjing cooperated very well. her brother's sound and the overwhelming admiration gradually made me lose myself. I arranged for Shinjing to work in the cake shop. It's no problem to support an idle person like her. Besides, I was successful in starting a business and had assets worth hundreds of millions. What's wrong with keeping a little bird to amuse myself? Men, don't they all make mistakes when they have money? I just didn't expect that Shinjing would cause Su Cheng to have a miscarriage. This was the third child of Su Cheng and me. The love we had before was real. It's fake to say that I wasn't sad. I thought that if I coaxed her, we would have another child soon. I just didn't expect that Su Cheng would ask for a divorce. We had been in love for 10 years. How could she so easily ask for a divorce? If we don't get a divorce, Su Cheng and I are one. The shares in our hands give me absolute say and control in the company. But once we separate, if she sides with Zhong Wei, then my position will be in danger. So, I used a little bit of shares and the jointly owned property during our marriage to keep her. We had been in love for 10 years. And women are emotional animals. Give them some money and love, and you can easily control them. It won't be long before Su Cheng comes back obediently. After all, she doesn't have any relatives except me. Her biological parents are always waiting for this Su Pandai to suck her dry and support her younger brother. She won't leave me. The so-called divorce is just a trick to beg for my attention. I bailed Shinjing out. Su Cheng is too naive. She thought that an embryo could get someone imprisoned, but according to the law, one of the criteria for criminal punishment is to cause minor injuries or above. She just fell to the ground, and at most, it can be regarded as a minor injury. Shinjing can still be my obedient dodder flower. It's a win-win situation. Vice President Zhong Wei started to spread rumors in the company that I had an affair. He messed up the projects under me and caused dissatisfaction among the board of directors. Some people even wanted to kick me out. How could that be possible? I fought him tooth and nail. I just didn't expect that Su Cheng would team up with Cheng Shi. She's so ruthless. She didn't care about our 10-year relationship at all. They kicked me out of the company. In the end, I had nothing. Oh, no, I still had Shinjing. This dodder flower, Shinjing, was expelled from Jiang University. She cut off relations with her parents. All her friends avoided her. She could only cling to me. When I was at my most decadent, she said, "Brother, you will definitely be able to make a comeback. The company you founded before was so big. And it was all your credit. They took it away for nothing. And they will only bring about their own downfall. You will definitely be able to develop a better game and establish a bigger company. I believe in you." The affirmation in her eyes made me feel that I could definitely do it. After establishing the latest team, I started to work day and night. But I gradually found that Shinjing was not a qualified dodder flower. She started to boss me around. She said the new office location should be in Area B, which is close to home. She said the secretary I hired couldn't be too pretty. She said, "What right does she have? She doesn't have Su Cheng's talent or intelligence. What right does she have to boss me around, then use a child to shut her up?" Soon, she got pregnant. I suddenly thought of the child Su Cheng and I had, which was killed by her. Then she should atone for our unborn child. So, she accidentally rolled down the stairs, and she lost her first baby. The second baby was also lost. The third baby was still lost. I pinched her chin hard and said, "You can't even keep a child. What's the use of you?" Shinjing cried and begged me to let her go. But if I let her go, what should I do with my pent-up anger? After that, Shinjing begged me for a divorce. I sneered and said, "You seduced me first. Did you forget that when I wasn't divorced yet, you stood in front of me naked and confidently said, 'It's easy for a girl to pursue a boy. Don't worry, Shinjing. I will never divorce you. For the rest of your life, you will always be Mrs. Song.'" She was about 20 years old and in her junior year at Jiang University. She made a bowl of instant noodles. The financial channel was playing on the TV. The live interview was with Su Cheng, a rising star in Wall Street investment. "Who is that?" I rushed to the screen in disbelief. The spilled instant noodles were all over the floor, and the oil stains were everywhere. Su Cheng, dressed in a white suit, was beaming with joy and sharing her investment experience. Then the screen changed to the scene of the bell-ringing ceremony at Nasdaq. In the video, Su Cheng and Cheng Shi put their hands together and pressed the bell firmly. GE Technology was officially listed, and Su Cheng was the largest investor in the company. I pointed at the screen and laughed maniacally at Shinjing. "See that? That's the company I gave up."